3 seconds. That's all it took for a quiet man to turn an arrogant bully into a living lesson in the middle of a crowded cafe. But consequences? Those lasted much longer. What happens when a single father who just wanted peace becomes a viral sensation overnight? When the truth collides with power and money tries to rewrite reality? This is the story of Ethan Cross, a man who never wanted to fight, but when pushed too far, showed the world what real strength looks like. Stick around until the end, hit that like button, and comment your city so I can see how far this story travels. The Wednesday morning sun cut through the windows of Miller's Café like it did every week at exactly 7:47 a.m. Ethan Cross knew because he'd been watching that same light hit that same spot on the worn wooden floor for the past 11 months. Routine mattered when your life had been anything but routine for the better part of a decade. He sat in the corner booth, always the corner booth, with his back to the wall and a clear view of both exits. Old habits. The kind that don't die even when you desperately want them to. "The usual, Ethan?" Sarah called from behind the counter. She was wiping down the espresso machine with the same methodical attention she gave everything. Sarah Mitchell had owned Miller's for 16 years, and she ran it like some people ran corporations, with precision and an iron will wrapped in grandmother-level warmth. "Please," Ethan said, offering a small smile. Not too big. Never too big. People noticed big smiles, and Ethan Cross had spent the last 3 years perfecting the art of not being noticed. The cafe smelled like fresh coffee and cinnamon rolls mixed with something else, old wood and history. Miller's had been a fixture in Riverdale since 1967, back when the town actually had a river worth naming yourself after. Now it was just another dot on the map between somewhere and nowhere, population 8,000 on a good day. Ethan pulled out his phone. A text from Maya. "Don't forget parent-teacher conference tonight, 6 p.m. Mr. Harrison, please don't be late, Dad." He smiled, a real one this time. 12 years old and already keeping him in line like a drill sergeant. The irony wasn't lost on him. "Here you go, honey." Sarah set down the coffee, black, no sugar, and a blueberry muffin. "How's Maya doing?" "Straight A's," Ethan said, "except for gym class. Apparently she's not applying herself." Sarah laughed. "That girl's got your brain and her mother's—" She stopped, her face coloring. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to—" "It's fine," Ethan said quietly. "You're right. She does have Catherine's determination." Catherine. 3 years gone and her name still felt like swallowing glass. Pancreatic cancer. 6 months from diagnosis to funeral. Maya had been 9. Ethan had been deployed when he got the call, had moved heaven and earth to get compassionate leave, had held his wife's hand for the last 2 weeks of her life while their daughter slept in a chair next to the hospital bed. That was when everything changed. When Ethan Cross, the man who'd spent 12 years in special operations, who'd done things in dark places that would never see daylight, who'd been the tip of the spear in conflicts most people didn't know existed, that man decided he was done. Done with the violence, done with the secrets, done with being someone else's weapon. He'd taken his discharge, moved to Riverdale, Catherine's hometown, and focused on the only mission that mattered anymore, being a father to Maya. "She's a good kid," Sarah said, patting his shoulder. "You're doing right by her." Ethan nodded, not trusting himself to speak. Some mornings were harder than others. The bell above the door chimed. Ethan glanced up, another old habit, cataloging the new arrival automatically. Male, late 40s, expensive suit that didn't match the town, designer watch, phone pressed to his ear, voice already raised. "I don't care what Jenkins said," the man barked into his phone. "He works for me, not the other way around. Tell him if those reports aren't on my desk by noon, he can clean out his own desk by 1. Red flags everywhere. Ethan had learned to read people the way some people read books. This guy was broadcasting aggression like a radio tower. The way he moved, entitled, expecting the world to part for him. The way he talked, loud enough for everyone to hear because he wanted everyone to hear. Trouble. Ethan looked back down at his coffee. Not his problem. He'd left that life behind. The man snapped his fingers at Sarah. Actually snapped them, like she was a dog. "Coffee, large, now." Sarah's smile went tight. "Be right with you, sir." "I said now." The man slammed his hand on the counter, rattling the tip jar. "Do you have any idea who I am?" The cafe had gone quiet. The morning crowd, mostly regulars, people Ethan knew by name, if not by conversation, all watching. Old Pete in his usual spot by the window, coffee and newspaper. The Morrison twins grabbing breakfast before their shift at the hardware store. Mrs. Chen, who came in every morning for tea and a scone. Everyone watching, nobody moving. Sarah's hand shook slightly as she poured the coffee. Ethan saw it, the slight tremor, fear dressed up as customer service. "Here you go," she said, setting the cup down carefully. The man took a sip, then spit it back into the cup. "This is garbage. What kind of backwater dump are you running here?" "Sir, Don't sir me. Make it again. And this time, try not to screw it up." Ethan's jaw tightened, his fingers wrapped around his own cup a little harder than necessary. Still not his problem. He was a civilian now. Regular guy. Single dad. No different from anyone else in this cafe. Except he was different, and he knew it, and that knowledge sat in his chest like a stone. "I apologize," Sarah said, her voice smaller now. "I'll make you a fresh cup." "You'll make me 3 fresh cups," the man said, "free of charge, for wasting my time." That's when Ethan noticed the younger guy behind the counter, Tyler, Sarah's nephew, 17 years old, working his way through community college. The kid's face was red, his hands balled into fists. "Don't," Ethan thought. "Kid, please don't." "Hey," Tyler said, his voice cracking slightly. "You can't talk to her like that." "Oh no." The man turned slowly, deliberately, a predator who'd just spotted easier prey. "What did you say to me, boy?" "I said," Tyler's voice was steadier now, fed by teenage bravado and a complete lack of understanding about what he was dealing with. "You can't talk to my aunt like that. Apologize or leave." The man smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Or what? This was the moment. Ethan could feel it like a shift in air pressure before a storm. The moment where everything could go one of 2 ways. He should stay out of it, mind his business, drink his coffee, check on Maya's homework assignment, think about the parent-teacher conference tonight. Be normal. But Sarah was looking at Tyler with pure terror in her eyes, and the man was walking toward the kid with the kind of swagger Ethan had seen before, usually right before things got ugly. "Or I'll call the cops," Tyler said, pulling out his phone with shaking hands. The man slapped the phone out of Tyler's hand. It skittered across the floor, screen cracking against the tile. "You'll what?" The man was in Tyler's face now, close enough that the kid had to lean back against the counter. "You know what I think? I think you're a little punk who's never been taught respect. Maybe someone should teach you." Ethan stood up. He didn't plan to. Didn't think about it. His body just moved, responding to a threat the way it had been trained to for over a decade. The sound of his chair scraping back cut through the tension like a blade. Everyone turned. Ethan was already regretting it, but he couldn't sit back down now. That ship had sailed the moment he'd stood up. "Hey," Ethan said quietly. Not loud. He'd never been loud. "Why don't you just take the coffee and go? No harm done." The man's eyes locked onto Ethan, and Ethan saw the recalibration happen in real time. The man was used to people backing down. Expected it. But something in Ethan's posture, his stillness, made the man pause, just for a second. Then the man laughed. "Another hero! What is it with this place?" He looked Ethan up and down. Jeans, flannel shirt, work boots. "Let me guess. Local handyman? Construction worker? You think you're going to impress everyone by standing up to the big bad businessman?" "I think you should leave," Ethan said. His voice was still quiet, but there was something underneath it now. Something that made old Pete straighten up in his seat and Mrs. Chen take a step back. "You think?" The man took a step toward Ethan. "Here's what I think. I think you're nobody. You dress like nobody. You probably earn like nobody. And you definitely don't tell me what to do." Ethan could feel his heart rate slowing. Another old reflex. His breathing deepened, steadied. His vision sharpened at the edges. His body was doing what it always did when threat assessment crossed a certain threshold. "Stop it," he told himself. "You're not that person anymore." "I'm asking nicely," Ethan said. "Please leave. And I'm telling you to sit down and mind your business before you get hurt." The cafe was dead silent now. Even the espresso machine seemed to be holding its breath. "Sir," Ethan said, and he hated the word even as it came out of his mouth. Old habits. "I don't want any trouble. I'm just trying to have my coffee." You got your coffee. How about how about you shut your mouth before I shut it for you? There it was. The line. Crossed. Ethan felt something shift inside him. A door he'd been keeping locked for 3 years, just the tiniest bit ajar. Okay, Ethan said softly. You should really leave now. The man stepped closer, invading space. A dominance play. What are you going to do about it, handyman? You going to throw me out? No, Ethan said. I'm going to ask you one more time to leave on your own. And if I don't? Ethan didn't answer, just held the man's gaze. Let the silence stretch. Let the man make his own choice. The man's face flushed red. You threatening me? No, sir. You better not be. Do you have any idea who I am? I'm Richard Hastings, CEO of Hastings Development. I own half this county. I could buy this coffee shop and bulldoze it before lunch. I don't care, Ethan said quietly. The words hung in the air like a challenge. Richard Hastings blinked. What? I don't care who you are, Ethan said. I care that you're being cruel to people who don't deserve it. I care that you're scaring a kid. I care that you're ruining everyone's morning. So I'm asking you, please, to leave. Richard's mouth opened and closed. For a moment, Ethan thought maybe, just maybe, the man would actually do it. Walk away. Let his ego take a hit and live to bully another day. But then Richard's face twisted into something ugly. You know what? Richard said, his voice dropping low. Dangerous. I've changed my mind. I think I'm going to stay. I think I'm going to finish my coffee right here. And if you've got a problem with that... He poked Ethan in the chest with one finger. Hard. You can try to do something about it. The poke. That was the physical contact, the legal line, the point of no return. Ethan looked down at the finger pressing into his chest, then back up at Richard's face. Don't do that again, Ethan said. His voice had changed, flatter, colder, the voice he'd used in briefings before operations, before the dangerous work began. Or what? Richard poked him again. Harder. The cafe seemed to tilt. Time slowed down the way it always did when Ethan's training kicked in. He could see everything with perfect clarity. Richard's weight distribution, forward, aggressive, unbalanced. The angle of his arm, extended, vulnerable. His stance, wide, trying to look big, actually leaving him open. Amateur. Last chance, Ethan said. Richard smiled. What are you going to... He didn't get to finish the sentence because that's when he threw the punch. It was a terrible punch, telegraphed from a mile away. Too much wind-up, all arm, no hip. The kind of punch someone throws when they've never actually been in a real fight, but have watched a lot of movies. Ethan moved, not fast. He didn't need to be fast, just precise. His left hand came up, redirecting Richard's arm past his head with minimal effort. His right hand struck, not a punch, just a flat palm to the center of Richard's chest. Not hard enough to injure, just hard enough to disrupt his balance. Richard stumbled backward, arms windmilling. Stop, Ethan said. Please, just stop. But Richard was too far gone now. Embarrassment and rage had taken over whatever good sense he might have had left. He charged forward, both hands reaching for Ethan's shirt. Ethan sidestepped. Let Richard's momentum carry him forward. As the man passed, Ethan's foot gently hooked Richard's ankle. Not a trip, just a slight change in trajectory. Richard went down hard, hands slapping the floor. The cafe gasped collectively. Stay down, Ethan said. This doesn't have to go any further. Richard pushed himself up, his face purple with rage. You just assaulted me. You're going to jail. I'm going to sue you for everything you... He came at Ethan again, and this time Ethan could see the man had completely lost control. This was dangerous. Not because Richard was skilled, he wasn't, but because he was unpredictable now. Wild. Ethan caught Richard's wrist mid-swing, rotated it gently but firmly, stepped behind him, and guided him down to his knees. The whole movement took maybe 2 seconds. A basic control technique, the kind of thing Ethan could do in his sleep. Richard was on his knees now, his arm twisted behind his back at an angle that was uncomfortable but not harmful. Ethan held him there with one hand, applying just enough pressure to keep him still. I don't want to hurt you, Ethan said quietly, but you need to calm down. Get off me! Help! This maniac is attacking me! Someone call the police! Already done, old Pete said from his corner, phone in hand. They're on their way. Ethan felt his stomach drop. Police. Great. Just great. I'm going to let you go now, Ethan said to Richard. When I do, you're going to stay calm. Understood? I'm going to destroy you, Richard hissed. I'm going to take everything you have. I'm going to… Understood? Ethan repeated. Fine. Ethan released him and stepped back, hands visible, non-threatening posture, creating distance. Richard scrambled to his feet, backing toward the door. His suit was rumpled, his face red, his hair disheveled. He pointed a shaking finger at Ethan. You have no idea what you just did, Richard said. No idea who you just messed with. I'm going to bury you. I'm going to make you wish you'd never… The door burst open. 2 police officers entered, hands on their belts. Riverdale PD, the first officer said. We got a call about a disturbance? Richard's expression changed instantly. Victim mode activated. Officers, thank God you're here. This man attacked me. Completely unprovoked. I want him arrested immediately. The officers looked at Richard, then at Ethan, then at the room full of witnesses. That's not what happened, Tyler said, his voice still shaky but firm. That guy started it. He was harassing my aunt. He hit my phone out of my hand and he threw the first punch at Ethan. That's a lie, Richard shouted. He's protecting his friend. I'm the victim here. The first officer, his name tag said Martinez, held up a hand. Everyone calm down. We're going to sort this out. Sir, he looked at Richard. Step over here, please. He turned to his partner. Rodriguez, take statements from the witnesses. The next 20 minutes were a blur. Ethan gave his statement calmly, factually, leaving nothing out. The other witnesses backed up his story. Sarah produced security footage from the camera above the register. Rodriguez watched it twice, his expression carefully neutral. Richard spent the entire time on his phone, making calls, name-dropping lawyers, making threats about lawsuits and consequences and connections. Finally, Martinez approached Ethan. Mr. Cross, based on the witness statements and the video footage, it's clear Mr. Hastings initiated the physical confrontation. You acted in self-defense. You're free to go. Ethan felt the tension in his shoulders ease slightly. Thank you, officer. However, Martinez continued, I'd recommend you get yourself a lawyer. Mr. Hastings has made it very clear he intends to pursue legal action against you. For what? Ethan asked. I defended myself. Doesn't matter, Martinez said quietly. Man like that has money and connections. He can make your life difficult, even if he's in the wrong. Ethan nodded slowly. Of course, because that's how the world worked. Money bought truth. Power rewrote reality. Richard was escorted outside, still yelling about lawsuits and consequences. The cafe slowly returned to normal, or at least tried to. People were still staring at Ethan, whispering. Sarah approached him, tears in her eyes. Ethan, I'm so sorry. This is my fault. I should have just… No, Ethan said firmly. You did nothing wrong. That man was out of line. But now he's going to sue you and I'll handle it. Ethan picked up his coffee, cold now, and drained it anyway. I should go. Your muffin, Sarah said weakly. Not hungry anymore. Ethan put a 20 on the counter for the coffee and Tyler's phone. Ethan, you don't have to… Please, Ethan said. Just take it. He walked out into the morning sunlight, his hand shaking slightly now that the adrenaline was fading. 3 years. He'd made it 3 years without incident. 3 years of being normal, of being just another single dad in a small town. 30 seconds of violence had just destroyed all of that. His phone buzzed. A text from Maya. How was the cafe? Ethan stared at the message for a long moment, then typed, Fine, see you after school. He couldn't tell her. Not yet. Maybe not ever. What was he supposed to say? That her dad, who'd spent years teaching her that violence was never the answer, had just put a man on the ground in front of half the town? Ethan walked to his truck, a 2015 Ford F-150, nothing fancy, but reliable, and sat in the driver's seat without starting the engine. His phone buzzed again. Unknown number, he answered. Hello? Is this Ethan Cross? A woman's voice, professional, cool. Yes, my name is Jennifer Walsh. I'm an attorney representing Richard Hastings. My client intends to file both criminal assault charges and a civil lawsuit against you. I'm calling to inform you that you should retain legal counsel immediately. Ethan closed his eyes. I acted in self-defense. There are witnesses. There's video. My client's version of events differs from yours. I suggest you take this seriously, Mr. Cross. Mr. Hastings is a very determined man with significant resources at his disposal. Is that a threat? It's a professional courtesy. Good day, Mr. Cross. The line went dead. Ethan sat in his truck for a long time, watching the town move around him. People going about their normal Wednesday morning, getting coffee, going to work, living their lives. He'd wanted that so badly. Just to be normal. To be invisible. To let the past stay in the past. But the past wasn't done with him yet. His phone rang again. This time, a number he recognized. Martinez. Officer? Mr. Cross, I thought you should know. Someone filmed what happened in the cafe, posted it online. It's already getting shared around. Ethan's blood ran cold. How bad? Depends on your perspective. You're a hero to some people. You stood up to a bully, defended the innocent, David versus Goliath type thing. And to others? To others, you're a violent thug who assaulted a successful businessman in a small-town cafe. Martinez paused. Mr. Cross, I looked you up. Your record is mostly sealed, but I can see the outline. Military service, special operations, 12 years. Ethan said nothing. Whatever you did over there, Martinez continued, it's not my business. But I'm telling you right now, that video is going to complicate things. Hastings' lawyers are going to paint you as dangerous, a trained killer who lost control in a public place. I didn't lose control, Ethan said quietly. I know, Martinez said. I watched the footage. You were incredibly controlled. That's what scares me. You put him down like it was nothing. No effort, no anger, just clinical. That's going to make some people nervous. I'm not that person anymore. Maybe not, but people are going to wonder, and Hastings is going to use that wonder against you. Martinez sighed. Get a lawyer, Mr. Cross, a good one, and prepare for a fight. Ethan thanked him and hung up. He sat in his truck until the sun was high enough to warm the interior. Then he started the engine and drove home. A small 3-bedroom house on the edge of town, Catherine's childhood home, left to them in her mother's will. Inside, everything was quiet. Maya was at school. The house felt empty in a way it never used to when Catherine was alive. Ethan made himself another cup of coffee and sat at the kitchen table staring at nothing. His phone kept buzzing, text messages from numbers he didn't recognize, friend requests on social media accounts he barely used, emails. He finally looked at one of the messages. It was a link to a video. Against his better judgment, he clicked it. The video was shaky. Someone had filmed it on their phone from across the cafe, but the audio was clear enough. Richard's voice, loud and aggressive, Tyler's cracking response, Ethan standing up. The comment section was already a war zone. Finally, someone stands up to these rich assholes. That guy barely touched him, and the CEO went down like a sack of potatoes. Violent thug attacks innocent businessman. Notice how calm he stayed? That's a trained professional. Anyone know who the hero is? Someone ID this guy. We need more people like him. This is assault, clear cut. Lock him up. Ethan closed the browser. He didn't need to see anymore. By noon, the story had been picked up by the local news. By 2 p.m., it was on regional websites. By 4 p.m., national outlets were running with it. Viral video shows mysterious man subduing aggressive CEO in small-town cafe. Ethan's phone rang constantly. He stopped answering. Reporters showed up at his house. He didn't answer the door. At 5:30 p.m., he got in his truck and drove to Maya's school for the parent-teacher conference, hoping against hope that somehow this wouldn't affect her. He was 15 minutes early, sat in the parking lot, practicing what he'd say if Maya asked about the incident, if she'd already heard. Small towns didn't keep secrets well. At 5:58 p.m., his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. Hello? Ethan Cross? A man's voice this time, gravelly, familiar somehow. Who is this? Someone who saw your handiwork this morning? Nice form, clean execution. You haven't lost your edge. Ethan's blood ran cold. Who is this? Let's just say I'm someone from your previous life. Someone who knows what you're capable of. and someone who's very interested in why a man with your particular set of skills is hiding out in a nowhere town pretending to be nobody. I'm not hiding. Sure you are. And that's fine. I respect the desire for a quiet life. But here's the thing, Ethan. You just went viral. Your face is everywhere. Your story is everywhere. And there are people who are going to see that video and recognize you. People from the old days. People who might have questions about certain operations, certain outcomes. Ethan's hands gripped the steering wheel. What do you want? Nothing. Just giving you a heads up. The quiet life you built? It's over. The only question now is whether you control the narrative or let someone else control it for you. A pause. Think about it, Cross. And watch your back. Not everyone from your past is as friendly as I am. The line went dead. Ethan sat in his truck, his heart pounding, as the 6 o'clock bell rang inside the school. He had a parent-teacher conference to attend, had to smile and nod and pretend everything was fine, while his daughter's teacher talked about her performance in English and social studies. But everything wasn't fine. Everything was falling apart. And the worst part? Ethan knew this was just the beginning. The parent-teacher conference room smelled like dry erase markers and institutional cleaning products. Mr. Harrison sat behind his desk with Maya's file open in front of him, glasses perched on the end of his nose. He was younger than Ethan expected, maybe 30, with the kind of earnest expression that suggested he actually cared about his students. Mr. Cross, thanks for coming. Harrison stood and offered his hand. Maya's a remarkable student. Ethan shook it, trying to focus, trying to pretend the phone call from 5 minutes ago hadn't just shattered what little peace of mind he had left. Thank you for meeting with me. Please, sit. Harrison gestured to a chair that was definitely built for someone smaller. Ethan folded himself into it, knees hitting the underside of the desk. I wanted to talk to you about Maya's recent essay assignment. Ethan's phone buzzed in his pocket. He ignored it. Is there a problem? Not a problem, exactly. More of a concern. Harrison pulled out a paper, slid it across the desk. The assignment was to write about a personal hero, someone who inspires you. Ethan picked up the paper. Maya's handwriting, careful, precise, so much like Catherine's it hurt to look at. The title read, My Dad, the Strongest Person I Know. His throat tightened. It's a beautiful essay, Harrison continued, really moving. She writes about how you raised her alone after her mother passed, how you never complain, how you're always there for her even when you're clearly exhausted. He paused. But there's something in the last paragraph that caught my attention. Ethan scanned down to the end. The words blurred slightly. My dad never talks about what he did before Mom died. I know he was in the military because I found his uniform once in the back of his closet. It had medals on it. When I asked him about it, he said it was a long time ago and didn't matter anymore. But I think it does matter. I think my dad has done brave things he won't tell me about. I think he's a hero who doesn't want anyone to know. Mr. Cross, Harrison said gently, I'm not trying to pry into your personal life, but Maya clearly has questions about your past. Questions she's not comfortable asking you directly. Ethan set the paper down carefully. My military service isn't something I talk about. I understand that. Many veterans feel the same way. Harrison leaned forward slightly. But Maya's at an age where she's trying to understand who you are. Not just as her father, but as a person. The mystery around your past is creating this idealized version in her mind. She's put you on a pedestal. That's not what I want. I know. But kids fill in the blanks themselves when we don't give them answers. Harrison pushed his glasses up. I'm not saying you need to tell her everything. I'm just suggesting that maybe sharing something, age-appropriate of course, might help her see you as more complete, more human. Ethan's phone buzzed again, and again. I'm sorry, Ethan said, pulling it out to silence it. The screen was full of notifications, missed calls, text messages, email alerts. Harrison's expression shifted. Is everything all right? Yes. No, I don't know. Ethan put the phone face down on the desk. There was an incident this morning at a cafe. It's turning into something bigger than it should be. I heard about that, Harrison said quietly. Of course he had. Everyone had probably heard about it by now. A student showed me the video during lunch. Harrison's tone was careful, neutral. The one that's going around online. Ethan closed his eyes. Did Maya see it? Not yet, at least not at school. But Mr. Cross, if it's spreading as fast as it seems to be, she's going to see it. Tonight. Tomorrow. Soon. I know. She's going to have questions. I know that too. They sat in silence for a moment. Outside, Ethan could hear kids at soccer practice, the coach's whistle, the thud of the ball. For what it's worth, Harrison said, I thought you showed remarkable restraint. That man threw a punch at you, and you neutralized the situation with minimal force. As a teacher, I've seen plenty of adults handle confrontation far worse. Thank you, Ethan said, though the words felt hollow. But I'm also a mandatory reporter. If Maya comes to school upset, or if I feel like this situation is affecting her well-being, I have to document it. She's fine. I'll make sure she stays fine. I believe you want that. Harrison picked up Maya's essay again. But wanting something and being able to control it are different things. The world's going to intrude, Mr. Cross. It always does. The question is whether you prepare her for it or let her get blindsided. Ethan stood up. The chair scraped against the linoleum. Is there anything else about her academics we need to discuss? Harrison looked at him for a long moment, then shook his head. No, she's doing excellent work, top of her class. Good. Thank you for your time. Mr. Cross? Harrison stood as well. Whatever you did before, whatever you're dealing with now, you're clearly trying to be a good father. That counts for something. Ethan nodded once and left before the tightness in his chest could turn into something worse. Maya was waiting by the truck, backpack slung over one shoulder, earbuds in. She pulled them out when she saw him approach. How'd it go? She asked, climbing into the passenger seat. Good. Mr. Harrison says you're doing great. Did he show you my essay? Ethan started the engine, buying himself a few seconds. He did. And? And it was really good. You're a strong writer. Maya studied his face. She had Catherine's eyes, sharp, perceptive, impossible to lie to. That's it? That's all you're going to say? What else do you want me to say? I wrote about you being my hero, about wanting to know more about your life before. Don't you think we should talk about that? Maya, I'm not a little kid anymore, Dad. I'm 12. I can handle knowing things. Ethan pulled out of the parking lot, focusing on the road because it was easier than looking at her. Some things aren't appropriate for 12-year-olds. Like what? Like what you did in the military? Like why we moved here? Like why you never talk about any of it? Yes, like all of that. That's not fair. Life's not fair, kiddo. You'll learn that eventually. Maya crossed her arms, turning toward the window. I already know life's not fair. Mom died, remember? The words hit like a physical blow. Ethan's hands tightened on the steering wheel. I'm sorry, Maya said quietly after a moment. That was mean. It's okay. It's not. She sighed, a sound too heavy for someone her age. I just want to know you, really know you, not just the dad version, the whole person. You do know me. I know the person you are now, but there's this whole other part of you that's locked away. It's like living with a stranger who's really good at pretending. Ethan didn't know what to say to that. Didn't know how to explain that the person he'd been before wasn't someone he wanted his daughter to know, that some doors stayed locked for good reasons. They drove in silence for a few minutes. Then Maya's phone buzzed. Then again. Then a rapid-fire series of notifications. She pulled it out, frowned at the screen. What the? Ethan's stomach dropped. What is it? People are texting me, like a lot of people. She scrolled through messages, her frown deepening. They're asking if I saw the video. What video? She looked up at him. Dad, what video? Maya. But she was already typing, searching. Her face went pale in the glow of the screen. Oh my God. Maya, let me explain. You got in a fight this morning and you didn't tell me? She turned the phone toward him. The video was playing, silent but devastating. Ethan standing up, Richard in his face. The push, the punch. Ethan's controlled, precise movements. Richard on the ground. I didn't get in a fight. I defended myself. You... Maya's voice cracked. People are calling you a hero, and other people are calling you dangerous, and you were just going to let me find out from my phone? I was going to tell you, tonight after dinner. I needed to figure out how. How about Maya? I got into an altercation this morning. How about that? Ethan pulled into their driveway, put the truck in park. You're right, I should have told you. I'm sorry. Maya was still staring at her phone, scrolling through comments. There's like 1,000 shares. People are trying to figure out who you are. Someone posted that you live in Riverdale. She looked up, eyes wide. Dad, people know where we live. Not exactly where, just the town. That's bad enough. Her voice pitched higher. What if that guy comes after you? What if he comes after us? He won't. It's not like that. How do you know? You don't know that. She was spiraling now, the way she sometimes did when anxiety took hold. Catherine used to be able to calm her down with a touch, a word. Ethan was still learning, still failing more often than succeeding. Maya, breathe. Look at me. He waited until she met his eyes. I won't let anything happen to you. That's a promise. You can't promise that. Yes, I can, because keeping you safe is the only thing that matters to me. The only thing. Tears spilled down her cheeks. You looked so scary in that video. Not like you. Like someone else. And there it was. The thing Ethan had been afraid of. The thing he'd spent 3 years trying to hide. I know, he said quietly. I'm sorry you had to see that. Are you really like that? When you're angry? I wasn't angry. That's the thing. I was completely calm. That's what makes it scary, Dad. You moved like... She struggled for the word. Like you've done it 1,000,000 times, like it was easy. Ethan wanted to lie. Wanted to tell her it was adrenaline, instinct, a lucky break. But she deserved better than that, better than more lies. It was easy, he admitted, because I was trained to do things like that for a long time. And yes, I'm very good at it. But that doesn't mean I want to do it. It doesn't mean I'm going to hurt anyone unless I have no other choice. What kind of training? Maya asked. What did you do? Things I'm not proud of. Things that needed to be done, but shouldn't have needed to be done. Things that kept people safe, but cost other people their lives. He took a breath. I was in special operations. I went places most people don't know exist and did things most people can't imagine. I was good at it. Too good, maybe. And when your mom got sick, I realized I didn't want to be that person anymore. I wanted to be your dad. Just your dad. Maya was quiet for a long time. Did you kill people? Ethan closed his eyes. Yes. A lot of people? More than I can count. More than I want to remember. Were they bad people? I thought so at the time. I was told they were, and maybe most of them were. But the truth is, I don't always know. I followed orders. I trusted the people giving those orders. And I did what I was trained to do. Maya wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Do you have nightmares? The question caught him off guard. Sometimes. Yeah. I hear you sometimes. At night, walking around. I thought maybe you were just checking on me, but now I think maybe you can't sleep. Ethan looked at his daughter. When had she gotten so perceptive? And felt something crack open in his chest. I'm sorry. I didn't want you to know about any of this. I'd rather know than imagine, Maya said. Imagination's worse, trust me. They sat in the truck for a while, neither speaking. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and purple. The street was quiet, normal. A world away from the chaos brewing online and in courtrooms and in whatever dark corners Ethan's past was crawling out of. Are we going to be okay? Maya asked finally. Yes, Ethan said, and he meant it. Or at least, he meant that he'd do everything in his power to make it true. We're going to be okay. Promise? Promise. They went inside. Ethan made dinner, spaghetti, nothing fancy, while Maya did homework at the kitchen table. They ate in front of the TV, watching some cooking competition show Maya liked. Pretending things were normal, pretending the world wasn't about to crash down on them. At 9 o'clock, there was a knock at the door. Ethan looked through the peephole. A woman in her 40s stood on the porch, professional clothes, serious expression. She held up a business card to the peephole. Ethan opened the door but left the chain on. Can I help you? Mr. Cross? My name is Diana Reeves. I'm an attorney. She handed the card through the gap. I specialize in self-defense cases. I saw the video from this morning. I'd like to offer my services. I can't afford a lawyer. First consultation is free. After that, we can discuss payment plans. She smiled slightly. I also have a feeling this case is going to generate enough publicity that it'll be good for my practice. Call it an investment. Ethan studied the card. Diana Reeves, attorney at law. Contact information. Nothing fancy, but it looked legitimate. Why would you want to take this case? Because I watched that video about 50 times today. I saw a man who tried everything to avoid a fight, who showed restraint even when he had every legal right to defend himself more aggressively. And I saw a bully who's now going to use his money and influence to destroy you because you embarrassed him. She tilted her head. I don't like bullies, Mr. Cross, and I'm very good at my job. Dad? Maya appeared in the hallway. Who is it? Go to your room, sweetheart. But, now, please. Maya retreated, but Ethan could see her shadow at the top of the stairs, listening. He looked back at Diana Reeves. This is going to get ugly, isn't it? It already is ugly. Richard Hastings filed a police report tonight claiming you assaulted him without provocation. His lawyer issued a statement to 3 different news outlets calling you a dangerous individual with military training who poses a threat to public safety. There's already a petition circulating online calling for your arrest. Ethan felt cold. There's video evidence, witnesses, which we'll use. But Mr. Cross, you need to understand something. This isn't about truth. This is about narrative. Hastings is going to paint himself as the victim and you as the aggressor. He's going to use your military background against you. He's going to make people afraid of you. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just living my life. That won't matter if he controls the story. Diana leaned closer. Let me help you control it instead. Let me be your voice before this gets any worse. Ethan wanted to say no, wanted to close the door and pretend none of this was happening. But he thought about Maya upstairs, listening, about the phone call earlier, about the reporter who'd already found his address, about the petition. The news coverage, the narrative spinning out of control. What would you need from me? Full honesty, complete cooperation, trust. Diana met his eyes. And you need to stop trying to hide what you were. Your military service isn't a liability, Mr. Cross. It's proof that you know how to use force responsibly, that you're trained to show restraint, that you're exactly the kind of person who should be able to defend himself and others. I don't want to be that person anymore. You don't have a choice. That video made you that person again, whether you like it or not. The question is whether you own it or let someone else define it for you. Ethan looked at the card again, thought about Maya, about Catherine, about the life he'd built here that was crumbling around him. Okay, he said. Come in. He unhooked the chain and opened the door. Diana Reeves stepped inside, and with her came the future Ethan had been trying to avoid. The fight he didn't want but couldn't escape. They sat at the kitchen table, the same table where Catherine had done her crossword puzzles every Sunday morning, where Maya had learned to read, where Ethan had filled out his discharge papers 3 years ago. Diana pulled out a legal pad and a recorder. Do you mind? Go ahead. She hit record. This is Diana Reeves conducting an initial consultation with Ethan Cross on the evening of... She checked her watch. November 15th. Mr. Cross, can you walk me through exactly what happened this morning at Miller's Café? Ethan did. Every detail. The way Richard had treated Sarah, the slap to Tyler's phone, the escalation, the punch, the takedown. Diana took notes, occasionally asking clarifying questions. How long were you in special operations? She asked. 12 years. What was your specialty? Direct action, hostage rescue, high-value target elimination. Diana's pen paused for just a second, then continued. Combat deployments? 7. Commendations? A few. Mr. Cross, I need specifics. Ethan sighed. Bronze Star, 2 Purple Hearts, Silver Star. Diana looked up. Silver Star? That's 3rd highest military decoration for valor. What was it for? Does it matter? It might. Context matters in these cases. Ethan stared at the table. He hadn't talked about that day in years, hadn't wanted to. My team was ambushed during an extraction. We were pinned down, taking heavy fire. 3 wounded, 1 critical. I provided covering fire and medical assistance for 45 minutes until air support arrived. Carried 2 teammates to the helicopter under fire. And you don't think that's relevant to a case about self-defense? I think it was a long time ago. Different life. Different person. Same person, Mr. Cross. Just trying to be someone else. Diana made another note. Hastings' lawyer is going to try to make you look dangerous, unstable, a trained killer who snapped in a public place. We need to counter that narrative by showing you're a decorated veteran who spent 3 years living a quiet, peaceful life, who only acted when absolutely necessary, who showed the same discipline and restraint that earned you military honors. I don't want my service dragged through the media. I understand that, but no. Ethan's voice was firm. I left that world behind. I'm not using it for sympathy or leverage. Find another angle. Diana studied him. You're making this harder than it needs to be. I'm making it honest. I didn't act the way I did because I was a soldier. I acted that way because I was a father watching someone hurt innocent people. That's the story. That's the only story. All right, Diana made a note. We'll work with that. But you need to be prepared for Hastings to dig into your past anyway. If there's anything at all, that could be used against you, I need to know now. Ethan thought about the phone call, the voice from his previous life, the warning about people who might recognize him. My service record is sealed, he said carefully. Most of what I did is classified. Most isn't all. The parts that aren't classified are standard military operations. Nothing controversial. And the parts that are classified? Stay classified. That's how classification works. Diana tapped her pen against the legal pad. Mr. Cross, I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I need a direct answer. Is there anything in your past, classified or otherwise, that could come back to hurt you or your daughter? In this case, Ethan met her eyes. I followed orders. I completed missions. I came home. That's it. It wasn't quite a lie, but it wasn't quite the truth either. Diana seemed to sense that, but she let it go. All right, here's what's going to happen. Hastings will likely file a civil suit within the next few days claiming assault, emotional distress, maybe defamation if he's feeling creative. The criminal charges probably won't stick. The evidence is too clear that you acted in self-defense. But the civil suit could drag on for months, maybe years if he's vindictive enough. I don't have money for a years-long legal battle. We'll file a motion to dismiss based on self-defense statutes. We'll present the video evidence, the witness statements, the security footage. We'll make it clear that pursuing this case is frivolous and motivated by embarrassment rather than legitimate grievance. And if that doesn't work, then we go to court, and we win. Diana leaned forward. Mr. Cross, I've been doing this for 15 years. I've seen cases like this before. Rich guy gets humiliated, tries to use the legal system for revenge. It rarely works out the way they think it will. The truth has a way of mattering, even when it seems like it doesn't. Ethan wanted to believe that. Wanted to believe truth mattered, that justice existed, that doing the right thing meant something. But he'd seen too much of the world to be naive. What do I need to do? He asked. Stay quiet. Don't talk to reporters. Don't respond to comments online. Don't engage with anyone about this case, except me. Diana handed him another card. My cell number's on there. Call me anytime, day or night. If anyone contacts you, press, lawyers, anyone, you tell them to call me. Okay. And Mr. Cross, prepare your daughter. This is going to get worse before it gets better. People are going to say things about you, about your family. It's going to be hard. She's tough. She's 12. No 12-year-old should have to be that tough. Diana stood, gathering her things. But I'll do everything I can to make this as quick and painless as possible. Ethan walked her to the door. Thank you for coming here, for helping. Thank me when we win. Diana stepped onto the porch, then turned back. One more thing. That video, it's going to keep spreading. By tomorrow morning, millions of people will have seen it. Some will think you're a hero. Some will think you're a menace. Neither opinion matters. What matters is what you know about yourself. Don't let the noise change that. She left. Ethan watched her drive away, then locked the door and checked every window in the house. Another old habit. Clear the perimeter. Secure the space. Protect what matters. Maya was sitting on the stairs when he turned around. How long have you been there? He asked. Long enough? She stood up, came down to the landing. We're in trouble, aren't we? We're in a complicated situation. That's adult speak for yes, we're in trouble. Ethan couldn't help but smile. When did you get so smart? I've always been smart. You just don't always notice. Maya hugged herself, looking smaller than usual in her oversized sweatshirt. Are people going to find out about Mom? What do you mean? If they dig into our past, Are they going to find out about her? About how she died? Are they going to use that against you somehow? Ethan's heart broke a little. I won't let that happen. But what if? No what ifs. I promise you, your mom stays out of this. That's not negotiable. Maya nodded slowly. Okay, I trust you. Those 3 words hurt more than anything Richard Hastings had said, more than any lawsuit could, because Ethan wasn't sure he deserved that trust, wasn't sure he could live up to it, but he was going to try. Come on, he said. It's late. School tomorrow. I don't want to go to school tomorrow. Everyone's going to be talking about the video. Probably. But you're going anyway. Because we don't hide. We don't run. We face things head on, even when it's hard. Is that what you learned in the military? It's what your mom taught me. Ethan put his arm around her shoulders. She was the bravest person I ever knew, braver than anyone I served with. And you're just like her. Maya leaned into him. I miss her. Me too, sweetheart, every single day. They stood there for a moment, father and daughter, holding on to each other in a world that suddenly felt a lot less safe than it had 24 hours ago. Ethan's phone buzzed, another unknown number. He sent it to voicemail. It buzzed again immediately. A text this time. He almost ignored it, but something made him look. The message was short. Check your email. J. No number, no signature, just J. Ethan's blood ran cold. There was only one person from his past who signed messages that way. Go to bed, Maya. I'll be up in a few minutes to check on you. Dad? Please. She must have heard something in his voice because she didn't argue, just headed upstairs, looking back once before disappearing down the hall. Ethan opened his email on his phone. The most recent message was from an encrypted address. No subject line. He clicked it. The message loaded. No words, just a file attachment. He downloaded it, his hands shaking slightly. It was a photo. Old, grainy, taken in a desert somewhere. 4 men in tactical gear, faces partially obscured. Ethan recognized himself immediately. Younger, harder, someone else entirely. Below the photo, a single line of text. Remember Tehran? Ethan deleted the email, then deleted it from trash, then turned off his phone entirely. Tehran. 2 years before his discharge. A mission that went wrong in ways that still kept him up at night. A mission that was buried so deep in classified files that it might as well have never happened. Except it had happened, and someone wanted him to remember. The question was why, and what they wanted in return. Ethan stood in his kitchen, in the house his dead wife had grown up in, with his daughter asleep upstairs, and felt the walls closing in. The quiet life he'd built was gone. The man he'd tried to stop being was clawing his way back to the surface. And somewhere out there, in the darkness beyond his locked doors and checked windows, people from his past were watching, waiting, deciding what to do with him next. Ethan didn't sleep that night. He sat in the dark living room with a cup of coffee gone cold in his hands, staring at nothing, thinking about Tehran. It had been a black op, the kind that didn't officially exist. A high-value target, a safe house in the mountains outside the city. Intelligence that turned out to be half wrong. They'd gone in expecting 3 hostiles and found 12. The firefight had lasted 40 minutes. When it was over, the target was dead. 2 of Ethan's teammates were wounded, and there were questions. A lot of questions that never got answered because the whole operation got wiped from the record. But operations didn't just disappear. People remembered. Files existed somewhere, buried deep but not gone. And now someone was digging them up. The real question was whether they were trying to help him or hurt him. At 5 in the morning, Ethan gave up on the idea of sleep. He made fresh coffee, started breakfast. Scrambled eggs, toast, orange juice. Normal morning routine. Pretend everything was fine. Maya came down at 6:30, already dressed for school, her backpack slung over one shoulder. She looked tired. Dark circles under her eyes that matched his own. You didn't sleep either, she said, sliding into her chair. A little. Liar. But she said it without heat, just stating a fact. She picked at her eggs. I had a nightmare. Ethan sat down across from her. About yesterday. About Mom and you. And everything getting taken away again. Maya's voice was small. It felt really real. It was just a dream, sweetheart. Was it, though? Because it feels like things are getting taken away. Our normal life, our privacy, our safety. Ethan reached across the table, covered her hand with his. I won't let that happen. You keep saying that, but Dad, you can't control everything. You couldn't control Mom getting sick. You can't control what people say about you online. You can't control whether that rich guy decides to come after us. She was right. 12 years old, and she understood things Ethan wished she didn't have to understand. No, he admitted. I can't control everything, but I can control how we respond. We stay calm. We tell the truth. We trust that doing the right thing matters. Does it? Matter, I mean. I have to believe it does. Otherwise, what's the point of any of this? Maya pulled her hand back, went back to pushing eggs around her plate. Kids are going to ask me about the video today. Probably. What should I say? The truth. That your dad was at a cafe, someone got aggressive, and I defended myself. That's it. What if they ask about your military stuff? Tell them it's private. What if they don't stop asking? Ethan thought about it. Then you come find a teacher. You don't engage. You don't argue. You let the adults handle it. That's such a cop-out answer. Maybe, but it's the right one. Ethan stood up, started clearing the dishes. You want me to drive you to school? I'll take the bus. If I show up with you, it'll just make everything worse. Everyone will stare. She was probably right about that too. Okay, but call me if you need anything at all. I will. Maya grabbed her backpack, headed for the door, then stopped. Dad, that lawyer who came last night, do you trust her? I don't know her well enough to trust her, but I think she's good at her job. And right now we need someone who's good at their job. Maya nodded slowly. Just be careful, okay? Not everyone who says they want to help actually does. When did you get so cynical? When I realized the world isn't fair and people lie. She gave him a sad smile. See you after school. The door closed behind her. Ethan stood at the window and watched until the bus came, until Maya climbed on, until it pulled away. Another old habit. Visual confirmation. Target secure. Except Maya wasn't a target. She was his daughter. And he needed to stop thinking in those terms. His phone rang. He'd turned it back on after Maya went to bed last night, and now he was paying for it. Diana Reeves. Mr. Cross, have you seen the news this morning? No, should I have? Hastings held a press conference at 7 a.m. He's claiming you attacked him without provocation, that he feared for his life, that you're a dangerous individual with a violent past who should be investigated and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Ethan pinched the bridge of his nose. There's video evidence that contradicts all of that. He's claiming the video is edited, that it doesn't show what happened before you stood up, that there was a verbal altercation where you threatened him. That's a lie. I know it's a lie. You know it's a lie. But it's a lie that's being broadcast on every major news network right now. Diana's voice was tight with frustration. He's also offering a $10,000 reward for anyone who can provide additional information about you, your background, your military service, anything that proves you're unstable or violent. He can't do that. He absolutely can. It's protected speech as long as he's not directly calling for harassment. Papers rustled on Diana's end. We need to get ahead of this. I want to hold our own press conference today, put you in front of cameras, let people see you're not some unhinged vigilante. No. Mr. Cross, I said no. I'm not doing a press conference. I'm not turning this into a media circus. It's already a media circus. Hastings made sure of that. Now we need to fight back. By putting my face on TV? By giving reporters more ammunition? By making my daughter watch her father get torn apart on live television? Ethan's voice was harder than he intended. No, find another way. Diana was quiet for a moment. You're making this very difficult. I'm making it honest. I'm not going to play his game. Then what do you suggest? You said you were good at your job, so be good at it. Use the evidence we have, the video, the witnesses, the police report. Build the case and keep me out of the spotlight. That's not how modern litigation works, Mr. Cross. Public opinion matters. Juries are influenced by media coverage. If we let Hastings control the narrative, he already controls the narrative. He's got money, connections, a PR team. We're not going to outspin him. Ethan moved away from the window, started pacing. But we can out-truth him. The evidence is on our side. Use it. Diana sighed. All right, but if this backfires, if public sentiment turns against you so badly that it affects the case, don't say I didn't warn you. Noted. One more thing. I got a call this morning from someone claiming to be a former military colleague of yours. He wouldn't give me his name, but he said he had information that might help your case. Ethan stopped pacing. What kind of information? He didn't say, just left a number and said you'd know how to reach him. Diana read off the number. Ethan recognized it immediately. Not Jay. Someone else. Someone he hadn't talked to in 5 years. Marcus Webb, his old team leader. The man who'd pulled him out of Tehran. Did he say anything else? Just that you should call him. Soon. Diana paused. Mr. Cross, should I be worried about your former colleagues coming out of the woodwork? Probably, but there's not much we can do about it now. Wonderful. Just wonderful. More rustling papers. I'll work on the motion to dismiss. Should have it filed by end of day. In the meantime, stay off social media, don't talk to anyone about the case, and for the love of everything, don't get into any more altercations. Wasn't planning on it. Good, because next time I might not be able to help you. She hung up. Ethan stared at the number she'd given him. Marcus Webb. The last time they'd spoken was at Catherine's funeral. Marcus had flown in from wherever he was stationed, stood in the back during the service, shook Ethan's hand afterward and said, "You ever need anything, you call me. Doesn't matter when, doesn't matter why." Ethan hadn't called, hadn't wanted to drag his old life into his new one. But apparently, his old life was done waiting for permission. He dialed the number. It rang 3 times before Marcus picked up. Cross, wondered when you'd call. Marcus? Ethan sat down on the couch. Long time. Too long. How's the kid? Maya's good. Growing up fast. They do that. Marcus's voice was the same as Ethan remembered. Gravel and smoke, years of shouting orders over gunfire. You've been busy. Saw the video. Yeah, well, wasn't exactly planned. Never is. But you handled it clean. Textbook control techniques. Minimal force. The guy didn't stand a chance. That's the problem. No, the problem is he's rich and embarrassed and looking for revenge. The handling was fine. Marcus cleared his throat. Listen, I'm calling because some people have been asking questions. What kind of people? The kind who pay attention when a former operator's face goes viral. The kind who have long memories and access to classified databases. A pause. Tehran's come up. Ethan's grip tightened on the phone. That's sealed. Everything's sealed until someone decides to unseal it. And right now, there are people wondering if maybe your involvement in that operation should be part of the public record. Why? What do they gain from that? Some of them? Nothing. They're just worried about operational security. Worried you might become a liability if the media starts digging too deep. Marcus's voice softened slightly. Others? They see an opportunity. Use your situation to push their own agendas. Pentagon's always looking for ways to control the narrative about special operations. You could become a case study, Cross. A cautionary tale. I'm not interested in being anyone's cautionary tale. I know. That's why I'm giving you a heads up. There's going to be pressure from multiple directions, some of it official, some of it not. You need to be ready. Ready for what? Questions, interviews, maybe even an investigation into whether you followed proper procedures when you left the service. They'll look for anything they can use against you. Ethan stood up, started pacing again. I followed every procedure. I did everything by the book. I know that. I was your team leader. I signed off on your discharge paperwork. But bureaucracy doesn't care about truth, Cross. It cares about appearance. And right now, the appearance is that a highly trained special operator put a civilian on the ground in a public place. That makes people nervous. The civilian threw a punch at me. Won't matter to the people making decisions. Marcus paused. Look, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you. This is going to get complicated. You're going to need allies. You offering to be one? I'm offering to do what I can. But Cross, I'm still active duty. There's only so much I can say or do without putting my own career at risk. You understand that, right? Yeah, I understand. Good. Because I'm about to break protocol and tell you something I shouldn't. Marcus's voice dropped. There's a file. Tehran operation. It's been requested 3 times in the last 48 hours. Different departments, different people, but all of them suddenly very interested in what happened that night. Who requested it? Can't tell you that. But one request came from someone connected to Hastings' development. That tell you anything? It told Ethan everything. Hastings wasn't just going after him in court, he was going after him everywhere, using his money and connections to dig up anything that could be weaponized. Thanks for the warning, Ethan said quietly. There's more. The photo you got last night, the one from Tehran? How do you know about that? Because I got one too. So did Williams and Chen, everyone who was on that mission. Someone's reaching out to the whole team. Ethan's mind raced. Who? If I knew that, I'd tell you. But whoever it is, they've got access to operational photos that should be locked down tighter than Fort Knox. That's not amateur hour, Cross. That's someone with serious clearance and serious intent. What do they want? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Could be blackmail. Could be recruitment. Could be someone trying to get ahead of a story before it breaks. Marcus let out a long breath. Or it could be exactly what it looks like, a reminder that the past doesn't stay buried forever. I left that life behind. No, you tried to. There's a difference. Marcus's tone wasn't unkind, just matter of fact. Cross, you were one of the best operators I ever worked with. Focused, precise, disciplined. But you also carried the weight different than the rest of us. Took it personal. That's what made you good. But it's also what made you vulnerable. I'm not vulnerable. You've got a daughter. You've got a life you're trying to protect. That's vulnerability, brother, and people know how to exploit it. Ethan didn't have an answer for that. Listen, Marcus continued, I'm keeping my ear to the ground. If I hear anything concrete, I'll let you know. In the meantime, watch your back. Don't trust anyone you don't have to. And Cross, if things get really bad, if you need to disappear for a while, I've got resources. Places you and the kid could go. Just say the word. I'm not running. Might not have a choice. I always have a choice. That's the whole point of leaving, to choose a different life. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Yeah, okay, but the offer stands, he paused. Take care of yourself, Cross. And that kid of yours, she's all that matters now. I know. The line went dead. Ethan stood in his living room, phone in hand, feeling the walls close in a little more. Marcus was right. This was bigger than a lawsuit, bigger than a viral video. This was his entire past coming due all at once. His phone rang again. Different number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. Mr. Cross? This is Tom Patterson with the Riverdale Gazette. I'm doing a follow-up piece on yesterday's incident at Miller's Café, and I was hoping to get a statement from you. No comment. I understand you're probably being advised not to speak to the media, but I think you should know. There are a lot of rumors circulating about your background. Some people are saying you're a hero. Others are calling you dangerous. Don't you want a chance to set the record straight? I said no comment. Mr. Cross, I've been a reporter in this town for 20 years. I know most everyone who lives here, but you're a mystery. You showed up 3 years ago, bought a house, kept to yourself. People are curious, and when people are curious, they start filling in the blanks themselves. Sometimes they fill them in wrong. Then they fill them in wrong. I'm not doing an interview. What about your daughter, Maya, right? 12 years old, student at Riverdale Middle School? Patterson's tone shifted slightly. Kids can be cruel, Mr. Cross, especially when they're scared. And right now, some parents in this town are scared of you. They're asking whether someone with your background should be living near a school, whether their kids are safe. Ethan's jaw clenched. Are you threatening my daughter? I'm telling you what people are saying, and I'm offering you a chance to address it before it gets worse. Tell people whatever you want, but you leave my daughter out of this. She's already in it, Mr. Cross. The moment that video went viral, she became part of the story. Fair or not, that's reality. Ethan hung up. His hands were shaking now, not from fear, from rage. The kind of cold, focused rage that used to serve him well in combat, but had no place in civilian life. They were going after Maya. Not directly, not yet, but they were laying the groundwork. Scaring parents, creating an environment where she'd be ostracized, bullied, made to feel unsafe in her own town, over a 3-second altercation that he hadn't even started. Ethan called Diana Reeves. She picked up on the first ring. What happened? Reporter just called. Tom Patterson, Riverdale Gazette. He's writing a piece that's going to paint me as a threat to children. He basically said parents are questioning whether I should be living near a school. Son of a... Diana cut herself off. Okay. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to draft a cease and desist letter citing harassment and defamation. If he publishes anything that implies you're a danger to children without evidence, we'll sue him and the paper into the ground. Will that actually stop him? Maybe, maybe not, but it'll make him think twice about what he prints. Diana's keyboard clacked in the background. I'm also going to reach out to the school, make sure they're aware of the situation. Maya shouldn't be punished for your legal troubles. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is going to get worse before it gets better, and I need you to stay calm. Can you do that? Ethan thought about Tehran, about missions that went wrong, about the kind of calm that came from accepting the worst and preparing for it. Yeah, he said, I can do that. Good, because losing your temper right now would be the worst possible thing you could do. Hastings is baiting you. He wants you to react. Don't give him the satisfaction. She hung up. Ethan looked around his living room, the couch where Catherine used to read, the bookshelf full of Maya's old picture books, the photos on the wall showing happier times, a life built slowly, carefully, over 3 years, and it was all falling apart. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Just 3 words. Clock is ticking. Ethan deleted it. Then another came through. People are watching. He turned the phone off entirely, threw it on the couch. The silence in the house was oppressive. No noise from outside. No cars. No birds. Just Ethan and his thoughts, and the growing certainty that he was losing control of the situation. There was a knock at the door. Ethan looked through the peephole. A man in his 60s stood on the porch, dressed in casual clothes, hands visible, no apparent threat. But something about his posture, the way he held himself, screamed military. Ethan opened the door. Can I help you? The man smiled. Ethan Cross. Been a long time. Ethan stared at him. The face was familiar but older, worn by years and weather. Then it clicked. Colonel Morrison? Former colonel. I'm retired now. Call me David. Morrison gestured to the porch. Mind if we talk? Every instinct told Ethan to say no, to close the door and pretend this wasn't happening. But Morrison had flown combat missions in 3 different wars, had more medals than Ethan could count, had been the kind of officer who actually cared about his people, and he'd been the one who'd authorized the Tehran mission. Come in, Ethan said. Morrison stepped inside, looked around the living room with an appraising eye. Nice place. Quiet. I can see why you picked it. What are you doing here, sir? David, please. Morrison sat down on the couch without being invited, the way officers did when they were used to being in charge. I came to talk to you about your current situation, and about Tehran. Ethan remained standing. Tehran's classified. It is, but classifications can be lifted when circumstances warrant it, and there are people in Washington who think current circumstances warrant it. Why? Because you're a liability now, Cross. A former special operator with a sealed record who just went viral for putting a civilian on the ground. Congress is already asking questions. Committees want hearings. The media's digging. And if they dig deep enough, they're going to find Tehran. When they do, it won't just be your life that gets complicated. It'll be mine, Marcus's, everyone who was involved in that operation. I followed orders. We all did. I know. But the outcome wasn't clean. 3 confirmed kills, 7 wounded, and a target who died under questionable circumstances. The official report says he was killed in the firefight, but we both know that's not entirely accurate. Ethan's stomach dropped. I did what I had to do. I know, and I agreed with your decision then, and I agree with it now, but the optics are bad, Cross, really bad. And if that information gets out, in the current political climate, with the current scrutiny on special operations, it could trigger investigations that hurt a lot of people. So you're here to what? Ask me to keep quiet? I'm here to tell you that you have options. Morrison leaned forward. There are people who can make your legal problems disappear. Hastings is rich, but he's not untouchable. The right pressure in the right places, and his lawsuit goes away. The criminal charges get dropped. The media moves on to the next story. In exchange for what? Your continued discretion, your cooperation with a formal debrief, and your agreement to let certain parts of your service record remain permanently sealed. I wasn't planning on talking about Tehran anyway. No, but you might not have a choice. If this goes to court, if Hastings' lawyers subpoena your military records, if Congress decides to investigate, you could be compelled to testify. Under oath, About operations you've been ordered to forget. Morrison's expression was sympathetic. I'm trying to help you, Cross. I'm trying to give you a way out that protects everyone. Everyone except the truth. The truth is complicated. The truth is that good people sometimes have to do questionable things for the right reasons. The truth is that Tehran was a success by any reasonable measure, but it wouldn't look like a success on the evening news. Morrison stood up. I'm not asking you to lie. I'm asking you to let sleeping dogs lie. And if I don't, then you're on your own. No protection, no support, just you against Hastings and his lawyers and the entire media machine. Morrison moved toward the door. Think about it, Cross. Think about what's best for your daughter, because this isn't just about you anymore. He left. Ethan stood in the middle of his living room, feeling like he'd just been given an ultimatum disguised as an offer. Stay quiet, let the powerful people handle things, and maybe his life goes back to normal. Or fight it out on his own, risk everything, and pray that the truth actually matters. The problem was, Ethan had seen enough of the world to know that the truth didn't always matter, that sometimes the narrative mattered more, that power and money could rewrite reality if they wanted to badly enough. But he'd also made a promise to himself when he left the service. No more compromises, no more doing questionable things for the right reasons, no more letting other people define who he was. He'd become a father, a civilian, a man who lived by principles instead of orders. And that man didn't make deals with devils, even when the devils wore friendly faces and offered easy solutions. Ethan turned his phone back on. It immediately buzzed with notifications. Messages, voicemails, emails. He ignored all of them except one. A text from Maya. Dad, can you come get me, please, now? His heart stopped. He called her immediately. She picked up on the first ring, her voice small and scared. Dad? What's wrong? Are you okay? I'm fine, physically, but Dad, there are reporters outside the school. They're trying to talk to students, asking about you, about us. The principal told us all to stay inside, but some kids went out anyway, and now it's a whole thing, and Her voice cracked. I just want to come home. I'm on my way. Stay inside. Don't talk to anyone. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Okay. Hurry. Ethan grabbed his keys and was out the door before she'd even hung up. He drove faster than he should have, his mind racing through scenarios. Reporters at Maya's school, making her scared, making her a target. This was exactly what Patterson had been setting up, creating a story about the dangerous veteran and his vulnerable daughter, making Maya part of the narrative whether she wanted to be or not. Ethan pulled into the school parking lot and immediately saw the problem. 3 news vans, cameras set up, reporters doing stand-ups in front of the building. A cluster of students gathered nearby, some talking to reporters, some just watching. He parked and headed straight for the main entrance. A reporter spotted him. Mr. Cross, can we get a statement? Ethan ignored her, kept walking. Is it true you were in special operations? Were you involved in classified missions? Do you think your military training made you react violently yesterday? He reached the door. A security guard let him in. Mr. Cross, do you think you're a danger to the students at this school? The door closed behind him, cutting off the noise. The guard, a man in his 50s with kind eyes, shook his head. Sorry about that. They've been here for an hour. Principal's trying to get them to leave, but they're on public property. Where's my daughter? Main office. Principal Baker wanted to talk to you. Ethan found Maya sitting in a chair outside the principal's office, her backpack clutched to her chest. She looked up when he walked in, and the relief on her face nearly broke him. Dad. He pulled her into a hug. You okay? I hate this. I hate all of this. I know. I'm sorry. Principal Baker emerged from her office, a woman in her early 50s with steel gray hair and an expression that suggested she'd dealt with worse than media circuses. Mr. Cross, thank you for coming. Can we talk in my office? Ethan looked at Maya. You want to wait here or come with? I'll wait. He followed Baker inside. She closed the door and gestured to a chair. I'll get straight to the point. This situation is becoming disruptive to the school environment. We've had reporters harassing students, parents calling with concerns, and now this. She handed him a piece of paper. It was a petition. We, the undersigned, request that Ethan Cross be prohibited from school grounds pending investigation into his violent behavior and potential threat to student safety. 23 signatures. Ethan set it down carefully. This is ridiculous. I've never posed any threat to anyone at this school. I know that. You've been nothing but respectful and involved in Maya's education. But Mr. Cross, perception matters. Parents are scared. And when parents are scared, they make noise. So what are you saying? I can't pick up my own daughter? I'm saying we need to find a solution that works for everyone. Maybe for the next few days, until this media attention dies down, someone else picks Maya up. A family friend, a neighbor. I don't have family here. My wife is dead. My neighbors barely know me. Baker's expression softened. I'm not trying to punish you, Mr. Cross. I'm trying to protect Maya. If you keep coming to the school, the media will keep showing up. And every time they show up, it gets harder for her. For all the students. Ethan looked through the window at Maya, sitting alone in the waiting area, looking smaller than her 12 years. What if I fight this? He said quietly. What if I refuse to stay away? Then I'll have to consider the petition seriously, and I really don't want to do that. Baker leaned forward. Mr. Cross, I've been an educator for 30 years. I've seen a lot of situations, a lot of difficult family circumstances. And I'm telling you, as someone who cares about Maya's well-being, let this cool down. Give it a week. Let the reporters find a new story. Then we can return to normal. A week. Maybe less, maybe more. Depends on how quickly public interest fades. Ethan thought about Morrison's offer. About how easy it could be to make all of this go away. How quickly life could return to normal if he just agreed to keep quiet and let powerful people pull strings. But that would mean admitting defeat. Admitting that he couldn't protect his daughter without help from the same system he'd left behind. Okay, he said finally. 1 week. But if anything happens to Maya, if anyone makes her feel unsafe or unwelcome here, we're done. I'll pull her out and homeschool her myself. That won't be necessary. I'll make sure she's protected. Baker stood, offered her hand. Thank you for being reasonable. Ethan shook it, though reasonable was the last thing he felt. He and Maya walked out to the truck in silence. The reporters shouted questions, cameras flashing. Ethan put himself between them and his daughter, kept walking, didn't respond. They drove home without speaking. Maya stared out the window, her shoulders hunched, her hands gripping her backpack like a lifeline. Finally, halfway home, she said, I want to leave. We will. Just a few more minutes. No, I mean leave Riverdale. Move somewhere else, start over. Ethan glanced at her. You want to leave your school? Your friends? What friends, Dad? Half of them think you're a hero and the other half think you're psycho. And all of them are treating me like I'm either really cool or really dangerous, and I don't want to be either one. She wiped her eyes. I just want to be normal again. We can't run every time things get hard. Why not? You did. You left the military and came here to get away from your old life. Why can't we leave again? Because running becomes a habit, Ethan wanted to say. Because eventually you run out of places to run to. Because Maya deserved roots, stability, a place to call home. But he couldn't say any of that without sounding like a hypocrite. Let me think about it, he said instead. That's adult speak for no. It's adult speak for I need time to figure out the right answer. They pulled into the driveway. Ethan checked the street before letting Maya out of the truck, another old habit he couldn't shake. Inside, Maya went straight to her room without a word. Ethan stood in the kitchen, feeling the weight of every decision he'd made in the past 3 years pressing down on him. His phone rang. Diana Reeves. I filed the motion to dismiss. Hearing set for next Thursday. That's good news, right? It's forward progress, but Mr. Cross, I have to tell you, Hastings' legal team is filing a countermotion claiming emotional distress and requesting a restraining order against you. A restraining order? They're arguing you pose a continuing threat to their client and requesting that you be prohibited from coming within 500 feet of any Hastings development property. That's half the county. They own buildings all over town. I know, that's the point. They're trying to make your life impossible. Diana paused. There's more. They've also filed a complaint with Child Protective Services claiming you're an unfit parent due to violent tendencies. Ethan's blood ran cold. They what? It's a long shot. CPS won't act without evidence, but it's another pressure tactic, another way to make you miserable and drain your resources fighting them. How do I stop this? We can't. Not yet. We have to let the process play out. Answer their claims, provide evidence of your fitness as a parent, and trust that the system works. And if it doesn't, Diana didn't answer immediately. Then we escalate. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. One battle at a time. She hung up. Ethan sat down at the kitchen table and put his head in his hands. CPS. A restraining order. His daughter scared and wanting to leave. His past coming apart at the seams. All because he'd stood up for a 17-year-old kid in a cafe. All because he'd tried to do the right thing. His phone buzzed. Another text from the unknown number. Offer expires in 24 hours. Choose wisely. Ethan stared at it for a long time. Then he typed a response. I already chose. He hit send and turned off his phone again. Whatever happened next, he was going to face it on his own terms. No deals, no compromises, no going back to being the man he used to be, even if it cost him everything. The next 72 hours were the longest of Ethan's life since Catherine's final days in the hospital. He existed in a strange, suspended state, waiting for the next attack, the next threat, the next person from his past to emerge from the shadows with demands or warnings or offers he couldn't accept. Maya stayed home from school. Ethan called it in as a personal day, and Principal Baker didn't argue. The reporters had thinned out but hadn't disappeared entirely. A few still lingered outside the school, waiting for a story that refused to die. On Thursday morning, Ethan woke to find Maya already up, sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop open. What are you doing? He asked, pouring coffee. Research. She didn't look up from the screen. I'm reading about self-defense laws. Turns out, in this state, you have something called the duty to retreat. You're supposed to try to get away before using force. I did try. I asked him to leave multiple times. I know, I watched the video again, like 20 times. She finally looked at him. You gave him every chance, Dad. Anyone who says different is either lying or didn't actually watch it. The legal system doesn't always care about what actually happened. Sometimes it cares more about what can be proven or what story sounds better. That's stupid. That's reality. Maya went back to her laptop. I also found some stuff about that guy, Richard Hastings. Did you know his company got sued 3 times last year for workplace harassment, and he settled all 3 cases out of court with NDAs? Where'd you find that? Public records, court filings. It's all online if you know where to look. She turned the laptop toward him. This guy's a serial bully, Dad. He's done this before. Just usually with employees who can't fight back. Ethan sat down across from her. When did you become an investigative journalist? When I realized no one else was going to tell me the truth. She pulled the laptop back. Everyone's so busy protecting me or managing me or trying to keep me from worrying, but I'm going to worry anyway, so I might as well know what I'm worrying about. You sound like your mom. Good. Mom didn't take crap from anyone. Maya's expression softened. I miss that about her. She always knew what to do, how to handle things. She'd probably tell me I'm handling this all wrong. Maybe. Or maybe she'd tell you that sometimes there's no right way to handle impossible situations. You just do your best and hope it's enough. Ethan reached across the table and squeezed her hand. You're growing up too fast. Someone has to be the adult around here. Despite everything, Ethan smiled. Smart mouth. Learned from the best. His phone rang. He'd started keeping it on again, though he screened every call now. This one was Diana Reeves. Mr. Cross, we need to meet. Today. As soon as possible. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Something's right. Very right. Can you come to my office in an hour? I can't leave Maya alone. Bring her. This concerns her too. Diana's office was in a converted house on Main Street, the kind of place that had probably been someone's home 50 years ago before being sliced up into professional suites. The reception area smelled like old coffee and printer toner. Diana met them at the door, looking more animated than Ethan had seen her. Come in, both of you. Sit. They followed her into a small conference room. Papers were spread across the table, sticky notes everywhere, a laptop open to what looked like legal documents. I've been going through everything, Diana said, organizing the papers as she talked. The police report, the witness statements, the security footage, the video evidence. And I found something that changes everything. She pulled up a video on her laptop. This is the security footage from Miller's Café. You've seen it already, but look at this. She pointed to a timestamp in the corner. The cafe's system records audio. Not great quality, but good enough. She hit play. The footage was grainy but clear enough. Richard entering, voice raised, Sarah behind the counter, Tyler coming into frame. Then Ethan standing up. Diana turned up the volume. Richard's voice came through tinny but audible. "You better sit down before I make you sit down." Ethan's voice, quieter. "I'm asking you to leave." "And I'm telling you to shut up before I shut you up permanently." Diana paused the video. "Did you hear that? Permanently. That's a direct threat of serious bodily harm. Combined with his aggressive physical posture and the fact that he initiated contact by poking you, we have clear evidence of assault. We already knew he started it." "Yes, but this audio gives us something better. It proves beyond any doubt that you had reasonable fear for your safety, that you acted in self-defense against a credible threat." Diana pulled up another document. "I submitted this to the prosecutor's office this morning. Within 2 hours, they dropped all criminal charges against you." Ethan felt something in his chest release. "They dropped the charges?" "Completely. You're clear. No criminal record, no pending prosecution. It's over on that front." Maya grabbed his arm. "Dad, that's amazing." "But," Diana continued, "the civil lawsuit is still active. Hastings is still suing you for assault and emotional distress. And he's doubled down, adding defamation to the complaint." "Defamation? I haven't said anything about him. He's claiming the viral video defames his character by portraying him in a false light. It's a stretch, legally speaking, but it shows how desperate he's getting." Diana closed the laptop. "Which brings me to the good news. I've been contacted by 3 different law firms who want to represent you pro bono." "Why would they do that?" "Because this case has gotten national attention. Because you're the underdog. Because Hastings has a reputation for being a corporate bully, and there are lawyers who'd love to take him down a peg." She pulled out business cards. 2 of them are major firms with resources Hastings can't match. They see this as a chance to generate positive publicity and stick it to someone who deserves it. Ethan looked at the cards, names he recognized from billboards and TV commercials. Big money, big reputations. What's the catch? The catch is they want to turn this into a media event. Press conferences, interviews, the whole circus. They want to make you the face of standing up to corporate bullies and wealthy elites who think they're above the law. No. Mr. Cross, I said no. I'm not becoming a symbol or a spokesman or whatever they want. I just want this to be over. Diana leaned back in her chair. I understand that. But you need to understand something too. You're already a symbol whether you like it or not. The video has 20 million views. There are hashtags. People are making you into whatever they want you to be. You can either participate in shaping that narrative or let it shape itself. What do you think I should do? Ethan asked. Honestly, I think you should take one of these offers. Not for the publicity, but for the resources. These firms have investigators, PR specialists, expert witnesses. They can protect you and Maya in ways I can't. But you've done good work. You got the charges dropped. I did. But Mr. Cross, Hastings just filed a motion to force you to provide complete documentation of your military service, including classified materials. He's claiming your training and background are relevant to the case because they demonstrate a propensity for violence. Diana's expression was serious. I can fight that motion, but if he's got federal connections helping him, if he's got people pulling strings to unseal your records, I'm going to need backup. Ethan looked at Maya. She'd been quiet through all of this, just listening. What do you think, kiddo? Maya considered it. I think you should do whatever keeps us safest, but I also think you shouldn't have to become someone you're not just to win. Wise beyond your years, Diana said. Look, you don't have to decide right now. Think about it. Talk to these firms, see what they're offering, but don't take too long. The hearing on the motion to dismiss is next Thursday. We need to be ready. They left Diana's office and sat in the truck for a while, neither speaking. Finally, Maya said, The criminal charges being dropped is good, right? That's a win? It's a win. A big one. So why do you look like someone just told you bad news? Because the civil suit was going to be worse, Ethan thought. Because Hastings wasn't going to give up. Because people were actively trying to unseal classified operations that could destroy more than just Ethan's life. Just tired, he said instead. This whole thing is exhausting. You don't have to protect me from everything, you know. I'm tougher than you think. I know you are. That's what scares me. You shouldn't have to be this tough at 12. They drove home. Ethan made lunch. Grilled cheese and tomato soup, comfort food that Catherine used to make when Maya was sick. They ate in silence, the afternoon sun streaming through the kitchen windows. Ethan's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Coffee shop, 3 o'clock. Come alone. He stared at it. Another ghost from the past, probably. Another threat or offer or warning. He texted back, "Who is this?" The response was immediate. "Someone who can help, if you're smart enough to listen." Ethan checked the time. 2:15. He had 45 minutes. "Maya, I need to run an errand. Will you be okay here for an hour?" She looked up from her phone. "What kind of errand?" "Just meeting someone. Shouldn't take long." "Is it safe?" The question killed him. What kind of world did they live in where his 12-year-old daughter had to ask if his errands were safe? "Yeah," he said. "It's safe. Text me when you get there and when you're leaving." "Deal." He drove to the cafe, not Miller's, a different one on the other side of town. A chain place with generic decor and overpriced drinks. The parking lot was half full. Ethan scanned for threats out of habit, found none. Inside, he ordered coffee he didn't want and found a table near the back with a view of both doors. At exactly 3 o'clock, a woman walked in. She was in her 40s, professional clothes, dark hair pulled back, eyes that missed nothing. She ordered tea, then approached his table. "Mr. Cross, thank you for coming." "Who are you?" "My name is Sarah Vance. I'm an investigative journalist with the National Herald." She sat down without being invited. "I've been following your story. I'm not giving interviews. I'm not asking for one. I'm offering you information." She pulled out a tablet, tapped a few times, turned it toward him. "This is Richard Hastings' financial records for the last 5 years, or at least the ones I could access legally." Ethan glanced at the screen. Spreadsheets, bank statements, transaction records. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because Richard Hastings isn't just a bully, Mr. Cross. He's a criminal, and I can prove it." Ethan looked up at her. "What kind of criminal? Tax evasion, fraud, money laundering? He's been using his development company to hide assets and funnel money through shell corporations. I've been investigating him for 8 months." She swiped through more documents. "The problem is, I can't publish without more evidence. And every time I get close, witnesses back out, or documents disappear, or lawyers threaten lawsuits." "What does this have to do with me? You're the first person to publicly stand up to him and not back down. You're the first person he can't intimidate or buy off, and that makes you valuable. I'm not interested in being part of a journalist's crusade. This isn't a crusade. This is justice." Sarah leaned forward. "Hastings has hurt people, Mr. Cross. Employees he's harassed into silence, contractors he's cheated out of payments, communities he's exploited for profit. He's a predator who's been protected by money and power for too long. And you want me to help you take him down? I want to help you by taking him down." She pulled up another file. "These are the 3 harassment lawsuits I mentioned, all settled with NDAs. But I've spoken to 2 of the plaintiffs off the record. They're willing to talk if someone else goes first, if someone shows that Hastings can be beaten." Ethan pushed the tablet back. "I'm not a crusader. I'm just a guy who wants to live his life. You were a crusader once. Special operations. 12 years defending people who couldn't defend themselves." "How do you know about that?" "I'm a journalist. I dig." Sarah's expression softened slightly. "Look, I get it. You want out. You want peace. But Mr. Cross, Hastings isn't going to give you peace. He's going to drag this out until you're broke and broken, unless someone stops him first." "And you think you can stop him with a news article?" "I think I can start the avalanche. Federal prosecutors are already interested in his business practices. They just need someone to make the first move, to show that Hastings is vulnerable." Ethan stood up. "I'm not your first mover. Find someone else." "There is no one else. Everyone else is too scared or too smart to go up against him." Sarah stood too. "But you're different. You've already proven you're not afraid. And whether you like it or not, you're already in this fight. Then I'll fight it my way, not yours." He walked out, got in his truck, texted Maya that he was leaving, drove home with his mind churning. Sarah Vance was right about one thing. Hastings wasn't going to stop. This wasn't about justice or truth for him. This was about power, about making an example of anyone who dared to challenge him. But teaming up with a journalist meant more publicity, more scrutiny, more chances for his past to come spilling out in ways he couldn't control. When he got home, Maya was on the couch with her laptop again. "How'd the errand go?" she asked. "Fine. Just someone who wanted to talk." "About the case?" Sort of. Maya closed her laptop. Dad, can I ask you something? Always. If you could go back to that morning at the cafe, knowing everything that was going to happen, would you still stand up? Ethan thought about it. About the cascade of consequences that had followed 3 seconds of action. The lawsuits, the media, the threats to Maya's safety, the ghosts from his past crawling back into his present. Yeah, he said finally. I would. Why? Because Tyler needed someone to stand up for him. Because letting bullies win teaches everyone else that bullying works. Because the right thing to do is still the right thing to do, even when it costs you. Maya smiled. Good, that's what I thought you'd say. Why? Because I wrote an essay for school about it. About how doing the right thing isn't about whether it's easy or safe. It's about whether it's right. She opened her laptop again, turned it toward him. Mr. Harrison gave me an A. Ethan read the first few lines. Maya's clear, precise handwriting converted to typed text, her voice coming through every sentence. My father taught me that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing what needs to be done despite the fear. When I watched the video of what happened at Miller's Café, I saw fear in my father's eyes. But I also saw him stand up anyway, not because he wanted to fight, but because someone needed to stop a bully from hurting people. That's real courage. That's real strength. Ethan's throat tightened. Maya, this is beautiful. Yeah, well, you're not the only one who can fight back. She took the laptop back. I'm not going to hide what happened. I'm not going to be ashamed of you. If people want to make you into a villain, I'm going to remind them who you really are. I don't want you fighting my battles. Too bad. We're a team. Teams fight together. Before Ethan could respond, his phone rang. Diana Reeves again. Mr. Cross, turn on the news. Channel 7. Now. Ethan grabbed the remote, flipped to the local news station. A press conference was in progress. Richard Hastings stood at a podium, his lawyer beside him, cameras everywhere. I want to be very clear, Hastings was saying. What happened at Miller's Café was not self-defense. It was assault, pure and simple. Mr. Cross attacked me without provocation, using skills he learned as a government-trained killer. He is dangerous, he is unstable, and he represents a threat to this community. The camera flashed to the lawyer. We are calling on local authorities to investigate Mr. Cross's fitness as a parent. We are calling on the school district to ban him from school property, and we are pursuing maximum damages in our civil lawsuit to send a message that this kind of violence will not be tolerated. A reporter shouted a question. Mr. Hastings, there's video evidence that you initiated the confrontation. How do you respond to that? The video is incomplete and misleading. It doesn't show the verbal threats Mr. Cross made before the camera started recording. It doesn't show his aggressive body language. It doesn't show the fear in my eyes when I realized I was facing a trained killer. Another reporter. Are you calling for Mr. Cross to be arrested? I'm calling for justice, for truth, for accountability. Hastings looked directly into the camera. Ethan Cross thinks he can hide behind claims of self-defense, but I will not rest until he faces the consequences of his actions. The press conference continued, but Diana was talking over it. This is a disaster. He's poisoning the jury pool, creating public pressure, making this political. Can he do that? He just did. And it gets worse. He's offering $50,000 to anyone who can provide evidence that you have a history of violent behavior. He's essentially crowdsourcing a smear campaign. Ethan watched Hastings on screen, playing the victim with practiced precision. The lawyer beside him nodding along, adding legal weight to every accusation. What do we do? Ethan asked. We respond. We counter. We can't let this stand without pushback. I thought you said I shouldn't talk to the media. I did, but that was before Hastings declared total war. Diana's voice was tight with anger. Mr. Cross, we need to fight fire with fire. Take one of those pro bono offers. Let them handle the PR battle while I handle the legal one. Ethan looked at Maya. She was watching the TV with an expression he'd never seen before. Not fear, not sadness. Anger, pure, focused anger. He's lying, she said, about all of it. And everyone's just going to believe him because he's rich? That's how the world works sometimes, sweetheart. Then the world sucks. She turned to him. You have to fight back, Dad. You have to show people the truth. I'm trying. No, you're hiding. You're staying quiet and hoping this blows over. But it's not going to blow over. Not unless you make it. Her voice cracked slightly. I don't care if people know about your past. I don't care if they know you were in the military or did dangerous things. I care that they know you're a good person who tried to help someone. That's the truth. That's what matters. Ethan pulled her close. When did you get so wise? I had a good teacher. He made a decision. Diana, give me the number for the biggest firm that contacted you, the one with the most resources. You're sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. I'll send it right now. Ethan hung up and looked at his daughter. This is going to get messy. It's already messy. At least now we're fighting back. The number came through. Ethan called it, got transferred twice, ended up talking to a senior partner named Michael Chen. Mr. Cross, thank you for calling. I've been hoping to hear from you. I need help, real help, the kind that fights dirty when necessary. We don't fight dirty, Mr. Cross. We fight smart. And we win. Chen's voice was confident without being arrogant. Tell me what you need. I need Richard Hastings to stop destroying my life. I need my daughter to be safe, and I need the truth to actually matter for once. Then let's make that happen. Can you come to our offices tomorrow morning, 10 a.m.? I'll be there. Good. Bring everything you have, documents, evidence, communications. And Mr. Cross, bring your daughter. I want to meet the young woman who wrote that essay. How do you know about the essay? It's been shared 10,000 times online in the last hour. Your daughter just became the most compelling character witness you could ask for. They said goodbye. Ethan looked at Maya. Your essay went viral. What? How? Someone must have shared it, probably a student or parent from school. Maya pulled out her phone, started scrolling. Her eyes went wide. Oh my God. They're saying nice things about you, about us. Ethan looked over her shoulder. The comments were pouring in. This girl gets it. Real courage. Her dad raised her right. Everyone needs to see this. This is what character looks like. Hastings picked a fight with the wrong family. For the first time in days, Ethan felt something like hope. The next morning, they drove to the city. Chen's firm occupied 3 floors of a glass tower downtown. The reception area looked like something from a magazine. Modern art, expensive furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows with views of the skyline. Michael Chen met them personally. He was in his 50s, sharp suit, warm handshake, eyes that suggested he'd seen every trick in the book and invented a few of his own. Mr. Cross, Maya, thank you for coming. He led them to a conference room. Can I get you anything? Coffee? Water? We're fine, Ethan said. Chen sat across from them. Let me be direct. I've reviewed everything about your case, the video, the police reports, the witness statements, the press coverage. And I've reviewed Richard Hastings' history. This man is a serial abuser who's been protected by money and intimidation for years. I want to take him down. But more importantly, I want to protect you and your daughter from his vindictive crusade. What's your plan? Aggressive defense? We file a countersuit for malicious prosecution, defamation, and abuse of process. We expose his history of harassment. We turn his own tactics against him, and we do it publicly so everyone can see what kind of man he really is. That's what the journalists wanted too, to expose him. Sarah Vance. Yes, I know her work. She's good, and she's right. Hastings is dirty. But journalism and litigation are different tools. She can write articles. I can destroy him in court. I just want this to be over. I understand, but Mr. Cross, this won't be over until we make it over. Hastings isn't going to quit. He's going to escalate. The question is whether we escalate faster and harder. Chen pulled out a document. This is our retainer agreement. No cost to you. We take this pro bono because we believe in it, and because winning this case will generate the kind of publicity that's worth more than any fee. Ethan read through it. Standard legal language, nothing unusual. Why should I trust you? Because I'm giving you the same advice I'd give my own family. Fight back. Don't let bullies win, and use every legal tool available to protect what matters most. Chen looked at Maya. Your daughter wrote that essay because she believes in you. Don't prove her wrong by giving up now. Ethan looked at Maya. She nodded. Okay, Ethan said. Let's do this. They spent the next 3 hours going through everything. Chen's team took notes, asked questions, built strategy. By the time they left, Ethan felt simultaneously more protected and more exposed than ever before. On the drive home, Maya said, "That felt like declaring war." In a way it was. "Are you scared?" "Terrified. But I'm more scared of what happens if we don't fight." "Me too." That evening, Chen's firm released a statement. It hit the news within an hour. Our client, Ethan Cross, is a decorated military veteran and devoted single father who acted in clear self-defense against an aggressive assault. Richard Hastings is attempting to use his wealth and influence to punish Mr. Cross for the embarrassment of his own violent behavior. We will not only defend Mr. Cross, we will hold Mr. Hastings accountable for his malicious and frivolous litigation. Justice will be served. Ethan's phone started ringing immediately. Reporters wanting comments, supporters offering encouragement, a few threats mixed in with the noise. He ignored them all, except one. Marcus Webb. "Cross, what the hell did you just do? I hired lawyers who can actually fight back." "You hired sharks. Chen's firm doesn't just win cases, they destroy opponents. You just escalated this to a whole new level. Hastings escalated first. True. But now you're committed. No turning back, no quiet settlements. This is going to trial, and it's going to be ugly." "I know." "Do you? Because once this machine starts moving, it doesn't stop. Everything comes out. Your past, Hastings' past, every ugly detail from both sides." "I'm ready for that." "Are you ready for Maya to see it all? Because she will. It's going to be in the news, in the courtroom, everywhere. She's going to learn things about you that you probably never wanted her to know." Ethan looked at Maya, sitting on the couch, doing homework like this was a normal evening. "She already knows more than I wanted her to," Ethan said quietly. "But she's tough. Tougher than me, maybe. She's going to need to be." Marcus paused. "Listen, I meant what I said before. If you need help, real help, you call me. Chen's good with legal warfare, but if this turns into something else, you're going to need people with different skills." "What kind of something else?" "The kind where powerful people with secrets start feeling threatened. The kind where Tehran becomes public knowledge and people start asking questions nobody wants to answer." "You think it'll go that far?" "I think Hastings has federal connections helping him. I think someone wants your classified record unsealed, and I think once that door opens, you can't close it again." Marcus's voice was grave. "Watch your back, Cross. And protect that kid of yours, because this is about to get a lot worse before it gets better." The line went dead. Ethan stood at the window looking out at the quiet street. Normal houses, normal lives, normal problems. Everything he'd wanted when he left the service. But normal was gone now. Maybe it had always been an illusion. Maya appeared beside him. "You okay?" "Yeah, just thinking." "About what?" "About how life never works out the way you plan." "Is that bad?" "Sometimes, but sometimes it works out better." He put his arm around her shoulders. "I planned to keep you safe by staying invisible. That didn't work. So now we try something different. Fighting back." "Fighting back." Maya leaned against him. "I'm glad we're doing this. I'm glad you're not hiding anymore." "Me too, kiddo, me too." They stood there for a while, watching the sun set, preparing for whatever came next. The hearing was scheduled for 10 a.m. on Thursday, exactly 1 week after the incident at Miller's Café. Ethan woke at 5, unable to sleep, his mind running through every possible outcome. Best case, the judge dismissed Hastings' lawsuit and they could start rebuilding their lives. Worst case, the judge let it proceed and they faced months, maybe years, of legal warfare. Maya was already awake when he came downstairs. She sat at the kitchen table in her school clothes, a bowl of cereal untouched in front of her. "Couldn't sleep either?" Ethan asked. "Nope. Kept thinking about today." She pushed the cereal around with her spoon. "What happens if the judge doesn't dismiss it?" "Then we keep fighting. That's all we can do." "And if we lose?" Ethan sat down across from her. He could lie, tell her everything would be fine, protect her from the weight of adult consequences. But Maya had earned honesty. "If we lose the lawsuit, we might lose everything. The house, our savings, whatever future we've been planning." He reached across the table. "But we won't lose each other. That's the only thing that really matters." "That's not very comforting, Dad." "I know, but it's true." Maya finally looked up at him. I'm scared. Me too.
Really? You don't seem scared. I'm terrified. I'm just good at hiding it. Ethan squeezed her hand. Your mom used to say that being scared means you care about the outcome. If you didn't care, you wouldn't be afraid. I miss her, especially today. She'd know what to say to make this less awful. She'd probably tell us both to stop moping and go kick some ass. Maya laughed despite herself. She would absolutely say that.
Damn right she would. Ethan stood up. Come on, let's get ready. Chen said to be at the courthouse by 9. They arrived at 8:45. The courthouse steps were already crowded with reporters, cameras, people holding signs. Some supported Ethan. Self-defense isn't a crime, and stand with Cross. Others condemned him. Violent veterans belong in jail, and protect our children from killers. Michael Chen met them at the side entrance, ushering them past the chaos. Don't engage with anyone. Don't answer questions. We give our statement in the courtroom. Nowhere else. Inside the courthouse was quieter, but no less tense. Diana Reeves waited in the hallway, looking sharp in a navy suit, her trial bag bulging with documents. Ready? She asked Ethan. As I'll ever be.
Good, because Hastings brought an army. She gestured toward the courtroom doors. 3 lawyers from his corporate firm, 2 PR consultants, and enough attitude to fill the building. Chen smiled. Let them bring an army. We brought the truth. They entered the courtroom. Hastings sat at the plaintiff's table, surrounded by his legal team, looking smug and confident. He glanced at Ethan and smirked. Ethan felt Maya tense beside him. Don't look at him, he whispered. He's not worth it. They took their seats. The courtroom filled with spectators, journalists, people who'd followed the case online. Sarah Vance was there, notebook in hand. Old Pete from the Café. Tyler and Sarah Mitchell. Marcus Webb in civilian clothes at the back, catching Ethan's eye and nodding once. The bailiff stood. All rise, the Honorable Judge Patricia Moreno presiding. Judge Moreno entered, a woman in her 60s with steel-gray hair and an expression that suggested she'd seen every trick in the book and wasn't impressed by any of them. She took her seat, adjusted her glasses, and looked over the courtroom. Be seated. She opened a file. We're here on a motion to dismiss filed by the defendant, Ethan Cross, in the matter of Hastings versus Cross. I've reviewed the filings from both sides. Mr. Chen, you're representing Mr. Cross? Yes, Your Honor. And Ms. Walsh, you're representing Mr. Hastings? Jennifer Walsh stood. Yes, Your Honor. Good. Let's get to it. Ms. Walsh, your client is suing Mr. Cross for assault, emotional distress, and defamation. Mr. Cross has moved to dismiss on the grounds of self-defense and lack of merit. Make your case. Walsh approached the bench. Your Honor, this is a straightforward assault case. My client was having coffee in a public establishment when the defendant, a trained military operative with expertise in hand-to-hand combat, attacked him without provocation. The defendant used excessive force, causing physical injury and severe emotional trauma. The video evidence, while showing the end of the confrontation, does not show what preceded it, specifically, the defendant's verbal threats and aggressive posturing that created the environment for violence. Boss? You have evidence of these verbal threats? Judge Moreno asked. We have my client's sworn testimony, which is contradicted by multiple witnesses and audio evidence, Chen interjected. Judge Moreno held up a hand. You'll get your turn, Mr. Chen. Miss Walsh, continue. Your Honor, the crux of this case is whether a highly trained military operative should be held to a higher standard of restraint than an ordinary citizen. We argue that he should. The defendant had the training and ability to de-escalate this situation without resorting to violence. Instead, he chose to use his superior combat skills to humiliate and injure my client in a public setting. Your client threw the first punch, Judge Moreno said, looking at the file. That's clearly visible in the video evidence. After being verbally threatened and made to feel unsafe, my client acted in self-defense against a credible threat. Judge Moreno raised an eyebrow. You're arguing that your client, who initiated physical contact and threw a punch, was acting in self-defense against the defendant, who was sitting quietly drinking coffee. I'm arguing that the defendant's military background and physical presence constituted an implicit threat that justified my client's response. That's ridiculous, Judge Moreno said flatly. But I'll let it stand for now. Mr. Chen, your response? Chen stood, and Ethan could see why he had the reputation he did. He moved with quiet confidence, every gesture precise, every word calculated. Your Honor, Ms. Walsh's argument is not only ridiculous, it's dangerous. She's suggesting that military veterans should be treated as inherently threatening simply because of their service, that their training somehow makes them less deserving of self-defense protections than other citizens. This is offensive, legally baseless, and contradicted by every piece of actual evidence in this case. He pulled out a tablet, queued up the cafe's security footage. With the court's permission, Judge Moreno nodded. The video played on the courtroom monitors. Chen narrated as it ran. At timestamp 7:48, Mr. Hastings enters the cafe. Note his body language, aggressive, entitled. At 7:49, he berates the owner, Sarah Mitchell, for the quality of his coffee. At 7:50, he slaps a phone from the hand of Tyler Mitchell, a 17-year-old employee, causing property damage. At 7:51, my client stands up. Note that he remains at his table, does not approach Mr. Hastings, maintains a non-threatening posture. The video continued. Ethan watched himself on screen, looking calmer than he'd felt, keeping distance, trying to de-escalate. At 7:52, Mr. Hastings approaches my client and pokes him in the chest. Physical contact initiated by the plaintiff. My client asks him to stop. Mr. Hastings pokes him again, harder. At 7:53, Mr. Hastings throws a punch. The courtroom watched Ethan's response. Minimal movement, controlled technique, Richard on the ground in seconds. Total time from punch to control, 3 seconds. No strikes to the head, no excessive force, no injury beyond minor bruising. My client used the minimum force necessary to neutralize an active threat, then immediately de-escalated. This is textbook self-defense, Your Honor, not assault. Chen paused the video. Additionally, we have audio from the cafe's security system. He played it. Richard's voice, threatening. Ethan's voice, calm and de-escalating. The difference was stark. Your Honor, this lawsuit is not about seeking justice. It's about a wealthy man using the legal system to punish someone who embarrassed him. It's about abuse of process, and it should be dismissed immediately. Judge Moreno looked at Walsh. Response? Walsh stood again, but she looked less confident now. Your Honor, the video shows only one angle. It doesn't capture my client's state of mind, his reasonable fear. His reasonable fear of a man sitting quietly drinking coffee? Judge Moreno's tone was sharp. Counselor, I've been on the bench for 23 years. I've seen legitimate assault cases and I've seen frivolous lawsuits. This is the latter. Your Honor, we also have the issue of defamation. The viral video has damaged my client's reputation. The viral video shows exactly what happened. Truth is an absolute defense to defamation. You know this. Judge Moreno closed the file. Here's what I see. Your client verbally abused service workers, destroyed property, initiated physical contact, and threw a punch at someone who was trying to calm the situation. Mr. Cross defended himself using minimal necessary force. Not only is this not assault, if anyone should be facing charges here, it's your client. Walsh's face went red. Your Honor, I'm not finished. Furthermore, I'm troubled by the tactics employed in this case. The press conferences, the reward offers, the attempts to drag Mr. Cross's military service through the mud. This appears to be a deliberate campaign of harassment disguised as litigation. Judge Moreno looked at Hastings. Mr. Hastings, stand up, please. Richard stood, his lawyers flanking him. You're a successful businessman. You have resources. You have influence. What you don't have is the right to abuse the legal system because someone hurt your ego. She turned to Walsh. Motion to dismiss is granted. Case dismissed with prejudice. Mr. Hastings is barred from filing any further litigation arising from this incident. The courtroom erupted. Cheers from some sections, gasps from others. Reporters rushed for the doors to file their stories. Furthermore, Judge Moreno said, raising her voice over the noise, I'm awarding attorney's fees to the defense. Miss Walsh, your client will pay for Mr. Cross's legal representation. Maybe that will discourage future frivolous filings. She banged her gavel. We're adjourned. Ethan sat frozen, trying to process what had just happened. They'd won. Completely. Decisively. Maya grabbed his arm. Dad, we won! Chen turned to them, grinning. Not just won. Destroyed. Dismissed with prejudice means Hastings can never sue you again over this incident.
And the fee award? That's the cherry on top. Diana Reeves was practically glowing. I've never seen Judge Moreno that fired up. She eviscerated their case. Hastings stormed out of the courtroom, his lawyers scrambling after him. As he passed Ethan's table, he leaned in close. "This isn't over," he hissed.
"Yes, it is," Ethan said quietly. "You just don't know it yet." Outside the courthouse, the scene was chaos. Reporters shouting questions, cameras flashing, supporters cheering. Chen held up a hand. "Mr. Cross will make a brief statement, then we're done." Ethan stepped forward, Maya beside him. He looked at the cameras, at the reporters, at all the people who'd been watching and judging and making him into something he wasn't. 3 weeks ago, I was just a guy having coffee before picking up my daughter from school. I didn't want attention. I didn't want to be a symbol or a hero or a villain. I just wanted to help someone who needed it. He paused. I did 12 years in the military because I believed in protecting people who couldn't protect themselves. I left the military because I wanted to focus on protecting the one person who matters most, my daughter. When I saw someone being bullied and harassed, I acted. Not because of my training, not because of my past, but because it was the right thing to do. He looked at Maya. She nodded encouragement. To everyone who supported us, thank you. To everyone who was scared of me because of my background, I understand. I'm just a regular person trying to live a regular life. To Mr. Hastings, I hope you learn that power and money don't make you untouchable, that actions have consequences, that bullying people has a cost. Ethan took a breath. And to my daughter, thank you for being braver than I ever was, for standing up when I wanted to hide, for reminding me that doing the right thing matters, even when it's hard. The reporters erupted with questions, but Chen was already leading them away, through the crowd, to a waiting car. As they drove away from the courthouse, Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in weeks. Relief. Real, genuine relief. That was perfect, Maya said. Mom would have been proud. She'd probably say I talk too much. No, she'd say you finally said enough. Maya looked out the window. What happens now? Now we go home. We have dinner. We try to figure out what normal looks like again. You think people will leave us alone now? Eventually. The news cycle moves fast. Something else will grab their attention soon enough. Maya's phone buzzed. She checked it, smiled. Mr. Harrison says I can come back to school tomorrow. The reporters are gone. Things are calming down. You want to go back? Yeah, I miss my friends, the ones who actually stuck by me through this. She put her phone away. Plus, I have a test in math on Friday. Can't skip that. Ethan laughed. Priorities. They drove in comfortable silence for a while. Then Maya said, Dad, can I ask you something about your military stuff? Depends on the question. That operation, Tehran, the one people kept mentioning, what really happened there? Ethan's hands tightened on the wheel. Why do you want to know? Because it's part of who you are. And I want to know who you are. All of you. Not just the parts you think I can handle. Ethan thought about it. About the mission that had gone wrong. About decisions made in split seconds that haunted him for years. About the man who died under questionable circumstances, and whether Ethan had done the right thing or just the expedient thing. We went in to extract a hostage, he said slowly. American diplomat who'd been kidnapped. The intelligence said the building would be lightly guarded. It wasn't. We took fire immediately. 3 of my teammates got hit. I had to make a choice, pull back and risk losing everyone, or push forward and hope we could complete the mission. What did you choose? I pushed forward. We got the hostage out. All my teammates survived, but the people holding him didn't. Ethan's voice was quiet. The official report says they were killed in the firefight. That's mostly true. But the man who led the group, the one who'd ordered the kidnapping, he surrendered, put his hands up, and I shot him anyway. Maya was silent for a long moment. Why? Because I knew if we took him alive, there'd be questions, investigations, politics, and my teammates were bleeding. The hostage was traumatized. We needed to leave, fast, so I made the call. Was it the right call? I don't know. I've asked myself that question 1,000 times. By the rules of engagement, no. By the laws of war, probably not. But everyone got home alive. The hostage was reunited with his family.
The man who ordered the kidnapping can't hurt anyone else. Does that make it right? I honestly don't know. Do you regret it? Ethan pulled into their driveway, put the truck in park. I regret that I had to make that choice. I regret that the world is complicated enough that sometimes there aren't good options, just less bad ones. But if I had to do it again, knowing what I know now, I'd probably make the same call. Maya nodded slowly. Thanks for telling me. You sure you wanted to know? Yeah, because it helps me understand why you're so careful now, why you try so hard to do everything right. You're trying to make up for the times when you didn't. When did you get so perceptive? I pay attention. She got out of the truck. Come on, I'm starving. They went inside. Ethan made dinner, nothing fancy, just spaghetti and garlic bread, and they ate while watching TV. Normal. Wonderfully, beautifully normal. His phone rang. Sarah Vance. Mr. Cross, congratulations on the dismissal. I was there. Judge Moreno was incredible. Thank you. I'm calling because I wanted to give you a heads up. My investigation into Hastings? I'm publishing tomorrow. Federal prosecutors are moving forward with charges. Tax evasion, fraud, money laundering, the works. Because of what happened in court? The court case gave me the opening I needed. Once Hastings was publicly embarrassed and legally defeated, witnesses started coming forward, people who were too scared before. The harassment victims, the cheated contractors, the employees with NDAs. They all want to talk now. Good. He deserves it.
He does. And you made it possible by standing up when no one else would. Sarah paused. There's one more thing. That anonymous number that's been contacting you, the one warning you about Tehran. Yeah? It was me. Ethan almost dropped the phone. What? I needed you to take this seriously, to understand what you were up against. So I used some contacts, got hold of that photo, sent it as motivation. You threatened me to motivate me.
I warned you. There's a difference. And it worked, didn't it? You hired Chen. You fought back. You won. Ethan didn't know whether to be angry or impressed. That's manipulative. That's journalism. Sometimes you have to push people in the right direction. She softened slightly. But for what it's worth, I'm sorry if it scared you. That wasn't the intent. The intent was to show you that your past was going to come out anyway, so you might as well control how. And Tehran stays classified. I'm not interested in exposing military operations. I'm interested in exposing corrupt businessmen. Your secret's safe. Thank you. Don't thank me. Thank your daughter. That essay she wrote? That's what really turned public opinion. That's what made people see you as a father instead of a weapon. They said goodbye. Ethan sat on the couch, processing everything. The case was over. Hastings was going to face real consequences. His secret was safe. Life could actually go back to normal. Maya emerged from the kitchen with 2 bowls of ice cream. Dessert? You read my mind. They ate in comfortable silence, watching some cooking show neither of them really cared about. Just being together, just being safe. Dad? Maya said after a while. Yeah? I'm proud of you for fighting back, for not giving up. I'm proud of you too, for being strong when I was falling apart. We make a good team. The best. The next few days were strange. The media moved on to other stories, just as Ethan had predicted. Hastings was arrested on federal charges, his mugshot plastered across every news outlet. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The man who'd tried to paint Ethan as a dangerous criminal was now facing decades in prison for actual crimes. Maya went back to school. Some kids treated her like a celebrity. Others kept their distance. Most just went back to treating her like a normal classmate, which was all she wanted. Sarah Mitchell called to invite them to dinner at her place. Old Pete stopped by with a casserole and an apology for not speaking up sooner. Tyler got a new phone and sent Ethan a thank you text that was mostly embarrassed emojis but genuinely heartfelt. On Saturday morning, exactly 2 weeks after the Café incident, Ethan walked into Miller's for the first time since everything happened. The same morning routine. 7:47 a.m., corner booth, coffee, and a muffin. Sarah saw him come in and smiled. The usual? Please? She brought it over personally. It's on the house, forever. You're never paying here again. Sarah, I can't. You can and you will. You stood up for my nephew when nobody else would.
You changed my life and his life and probably a dozen other people's lives by showing us that bullies can be beaten. So yeah, free coffee forever, non-negotiable. Ethan sipped the coffee. It tasted like it always had. Like normal. Like home. The bell above the door chimed. Marcus Webb walked in, spotted Ethan, and headed over. Mind if I join you? Marcus asked. Please. Marcus sat down, ordered coffee from Sarah. When she left, he looked at Ethan seriously. I came to apologize. For what? For doubting you. For thinking you should take Morrison's deal. For not believing you could win this the right way. Marcus shook his head. You proved me wrong. You proved everyone wrong. You showed that doing the right thing actually can work out. It almost didn't. But it did. That's what matters. Marcus's coffee arrived. He took a sip. Morrison's pissed, by the way. He wanted you quiet and controlled. Instead, you went loud and public and won anyway. The Pentagon's going to have to reconsider how they handle veterans in situations like this. Good. Maybe the next guy won't have to fight as hard. Maybe. Marcus stood to leave. Take care of yourself, Cross. And that daughter of yours. She's going to change the world someday. She already did. She changed mine. Marcus left. Ethan sat alone with his coffee, watching the morning sun hit the same spot on the floor it always did. Routine restored. Peace returned. His phone buzzed. A text from Maya. Heading to Sarah M's house for a study group. Home by 3. Love you. Ethan texted back. Love you too. Have fun. He finished his coffee, slowly, savoring it. Around him, the cafe filled with the usual morning crowd. People living their lives, dealing with their problems, moving forward. Principal Baker walked in, saw him, approached cautiously. Mr. Cross, may I? Of course. She sat down. I wanted to apologize for the way I handled things, for asking you to stay away from the school. I should have stood up for you instead of protecting the optics. You were trying to protect Maya. I can't fault you for that. Still, I let fear make my decisions instead of principle. That's not the kind of educator I want to be. She handed him an envelope. The school board reviewed everything. This is a formal letter stating you're welcome at any and all school events. No restrictions, no conditions. Ethan opened it, read the letter. Thank you. This means a lot. It's the least we can do. Baker stood. Maya's an exceptional student. You're raising her right. I'm trying. That's all any of us can do. She left. Ethan sat for a while longer, thinking about everything that had happened, about how quickly life could fall apart and how slowly it came back together, about the cost of doing the right thing and the cost of not doing it, about strength. Real strength wasn't about how much force you could use or how many fights you could win. It was about knowing when to fight and when to walk away. About protecting what mattered without becoming what you fought against. About teaching your daughter that courage meant standing up even when you were terrified, even when the odds were against you, even when the easier path was to stay quiet and hope someone else fixed the problem. Catherine had understood that. She'd faced her cancer diagnosis with more courage than Ethan had shown in a dozen combat missions. She'd fought for every day, not because she thought she could win, but because the people she loved deserved her best effort. Maya understood it too. At 12 years old, she'd grasped something it had taken Ethan 44 years and a viral video to figure out. Strength wasn't about being unbreakable. It was about being broken and putting yourself back together anyway. About letting people see your scars and your fears and your failures and choosing to move forward despite them. Ethan paid for his coffee. Sarah refused the money, but he left it anyway and walked out into the morning. The town looked the same as it always had. Small, quiet, unassuming. The kind of place where people knew your name and your business and looked out for each other when it counted. He drove home, cleaned the house, did laundry. Normal Saturday tasks, life returning to its rhythm. At 3 o'clock, Maya came home full of energy and stories about her study group. They made dinner together, her choice, tacos, and ate while she told him about school drama that had nothing to do with viral videos or lawsuits. That evening, they sat on the porch watching the sunset. The same porch where Catherine used to read, where Maya had learned to ride a bike, where they'd scattered Catherine's ashes in the garden she'd loved. Dad, Maya said, what are you thinking about? How lucky I am. Lucky? After everything we just went through?
Especially after that, because we came out the other side. Together. Stronger. He put his arm around her. A lot of people would have broken under that pressure. You didn't. Neither did you. We didn't. That's the point. We're a team. Maya leaned against him. I'm glad we didn't run. I'm glad we stayed and fought. Me too. They sat in comfortable silence as the sky turned orange and purple, the same colors it had been the night they'd made their stand. The night Ethan had chosen to fight back instead of hide. The night everything had changed. But some things never changed. The love between a father and daughter, the bond forged through shared struggle, the knowledge that no matter what came next, they'd face it together. You know what Mom would say right now? Maya asked. What? She'd say we need ice cream to celebrate. Ethan laughed. She absolutely would. So let's go get some. They drove into town to the ice cream shop where Catherine used to take Maya when she was little. They ordered their favorites, Rocky Road for Ethan, mint chocolate chip for Maya, and ate them walking down Main Street. People recognized Ethan. Some nodded, some waved. A few came over to shake his hand, thank him for standing up to Hastings, tell him they'd been following the case. No one treated him like a hero or a villain, just like a person who'd done something difficult and come through it. That was all Ethan had ever wanted to be. Just a person, a father, a man trying to live with integrity in a complicated world. They finished their ice cream and headed home. Maya went to bed early, exhausted from the week's emotional roller coaster. Ethan checked on her once she was asleep, then stood in her doorway watching her breathe the way he had when she was a baby. His phone buzzed one last time. An unknown number, but this time Ethan recognized the pattern. Morrison. He answered. Colonel? Cross. I heard about the dismissal. Congratulations. Thank you. I also heard Tehran's staying classified, permanently. The Pentagon decided it's not worth the exposure. Good. Is it? You went through hell for 2 weeks, all because you wouldn't make a deal. I went through hell because I did the right thing. The outcome isn't what matters. The choice is. Morrison was quiet for a moment. You've changed. The Cross I knew would have taken the deal, would have done whatever it took to protect himself. That Cross had nothing to lose. This one has everything to lose. That changes your calculus. I suppose it does. Morrison paused. For what it's worth, I respect what you did, even if I don't agree with how you did it. I can live with that. Take care of yourself, Cross, and stay out of trouble. That's the plan. The line went dead. Ethan deleted the number, deleted the conversation, closed that chapter of his life. He made himself tea, Catherine's chamomile blend that he'd kept in the back of the cupboard, and sat at the kitchen table. The house was quiet, peaceful, safe. Tomorrow, Maya would go to school. Ethan would have coffee at Miller's. They'd do homework together, watch TV, live their lives. Normal. Beautiful, ordinary normal. Because at the end of everything, the threats, the lawsuits, the media circus, the ghosts from the past, what mattered was simple. Family. Integrity. The choice to stand up when standing up was hard. Ethan had spent 12 years learning how to use force to protect people. It had taken 3 years of civilian life and 1 viral video to learn something more important. The strongest thing a person could do was choose restraint when violence was easy. Choose truth when lies were convenient. Choose principle when compromise was safer. That was the lesson he wanted Maya to learn. Not how to fight, but when to fight. Not how to win, but what was worth winning. Not how to be strong, but what strength actually meant. He finished his tea and went to bed. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new choices, new chances to prove that doing the right thing mattered. But tonight, for the first time in 2 weeks, Ethan Cross slept peacefully. Not because everything was perfect, not because all his problems were solved, but because he knew with absolute certainty that he and Maya would face whatever came next together. And that was more than enough. In the morning, the sun would rise, the coffee would brew, life would continue. And Ethan Cross, decorated veteran, single father, ordinary man who'd shown extraordinary restraint when tested, would be exactly where he belonged. Home.